Hello, welcome aboard to AM News. In our very first story, President John Mahama has served notice that persons who are targeting and killing personnel of the Ghana Police Service and other law enforcement agencies will be hunted down and dealt with ruthlessly. Speaking at the National Police Headquarters after presenting 100 pickup vehicles to the police service to enhance operations across the country, the President expressed deep concern about recent attacks on security personnel. A police officer was shot dead by unidentified gunmen last 2 weeks in a late-night attack at Karimenga on the Bolgatanga to Tamale Highway. The attack also left 2 officers injured.
At the National Police Headquarters, President Mahama commissioned the 100 pickups to help the Ghana Police Service with their operations. He warned persons he said were targeting and killing police and other security personnel they will be dealt with ruthlessly.
That there are some elements who are targeting and killing not only police officers but other security personnel. Recently, we attended a memorial service, a memorial event to honor police officers who had lost their lives in the line of duty in the last 1 year. And several of them had been shot either by armed robbers or other criminal elements. I want to serve notice that the police will deal very ruthlessly with anybody who harms or injures or kills a police officer. We will hunt them down and will neutralize them. And so this is serving notice to those elements. If you shoot at a police officer, we'll come after you. This commissioning is not just about vehicles. It's about credibility, it's about public trust, and it's about strengthening our internal security and safety.
Earlier, President Mahama toured some state media houses. He started with the state broadcaster GBC, where he revealed that personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service involved in the attack on a Class FM journalist have been identified and interdicted as investigations into the incident continue.
Well, my views on that are known. I'm a journalist by training, and so there's no way we'll countenance, the continued assault on journalists. We've been in touch with the Ghana Journalists Association on these issues. We put them in touch with the security services. We need a reorientation of many of our security personnel to understand that just as they're doing their job of providing peace and safety, journalists are also doing their job of informing the people as to what is happening. So they are not antagonistic to each other. Indeed, they are both serving the same purpose. Yeah, so we're working on it, but occasionally these things will come up. But when they come, they must be dealt with, as firmly as possible. The Minister of Government Communication has taken it up. I think the officers have been identified, they've been interdicted, and an investigation is ongoing. But we'll countenance assault on journalists.
Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Alhassan, said the current TV license regime is outdated. He proposed an amendment of the law to a public media levy. Responding to the proposal, President John Mahama said government is receptive to the idea and intends to amend the existing TV license law as part of efforts to secure sustainable funding for GBC.
Your Excellency, we want to request humbly that in the discussion about TV license, the name we should look at the name. It's not about TV. It's not about you watching TV. It's about raising funds to ensure public service broadcasting.
There are few suggestions we have with regards to the so-called TV license. And I think that our thinking is going in the same direction to amend that law and to make it a public media levy of some sort. And we're going to change the range of that levy so that it's better able to mobilize funding in order to be able to subsidize the work of the public media. And so when we are ready, it will be discussed in cabinet, but we'll discuss with you what our thinking is before we finally go to Parliament and amend the law.
From Accra, let me take you to the Central Region. In a bid to enhance the welfare of vulnerable groups, Vice President Professor Jane Nano Pukwuagyemang has donated food and sanitary items to the Ankafo Maximum Security Prison and the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital in the region. The gesture underscores her commitment to social inclusion and compassionate care while supporting government's broader agenda to improve welfare conditions in correctional and mental health facilities nationwide.
Making the presentation on behalf of the Vice President, presidential staffer at the office of the Vice President, Kayali, described the gesture as a reflection of the Vice President's compassion and commitment to supporting the disadvantaged in society.
Yeah, with Madame, this has been something that's been doing over the years. This is not the first time. She has the spirit of kindness towards the disadvantaged. That's why she's been doing this over the years. Like the Director General said here, over the years she has been coming and been doing this even before she even became the Vice President. So it is something that she's known for. At the two facilities, they all mention some challenges, especially where we're standing right now, that's the Ankafo Psychiatric. They mention an encroachment to their lands, which I think is a national issue that we all have to take action on it to prevent it, because the hospital definitely has to be expanded. So if individuals are encroaching on the land, I think it's a serious issue that the whole nation will have to take action on that.
Receiving the items on behalf of the Ankafo Maximum Security Prison, the Deputy Director of Prisons in the Central Region, Joseph Asabre, expressed appreciation for the donation and appealed for increased support to improve conditions within the service.
The Director General of Prisons has also come out with an initiative called Think Prisons 360 Degrees. Think Prisons 360 Degrees. It is an initiative that wishes to conscientize Ghanaians that in every aspect of our life, whatever we are doing, we should always think about how we can support Ghana Prison Service to advance the agenda of the service. We are doing a whole lot to advance the program, industrialization. We want to have a lot of companies and industries to manufacture most of the things that we need, and even some other from the society. It is there. We have agri-mechanization, we have lands, we have inmates. We want people to come and support us so we can mechanize the agricultural production so that we can also contribute to the food basket of the country.
The donation, which included bags of rice, packs of bottled water and baskets of fruits, among other food items, was also extended to the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital, where the hospital's director, Julius Hache, welcomed the support, but used the occasion to appeal to government to rehabilitate the facility's internal road network, warning that its poor state poses serious risks, particularly to pregnant women and other vulnerable patients.
Unfortunately, the generation IGF, internally generated funds from the hospital, is not at a level that can fix or work on roads. So we want to plead with the government, we want to plead with Her Excellency that based on her interest in the issues of non-communicable diseases, based on the President's interest on ensuring that even people who suffer non-communicable diseases receive and have the necessary care that they deserve, they should come to our aid and help us to fix the internal road network of Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital. It's unfortunate, but sometimes pregnant women, whilst in labor, have to ply such rugged roads in order to be able to get to the labor ward and deliver safely.
From Ankafo, Abigail Lissel Nkuma reports for Joy News.
Let's do some more stories. The Workers' Union of the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, has called on the government to fast-track its commitment to the implementation of a new scheme of service to improve the welfare and career progression of staff. National Chairman of the union, Yakubu Hamza, says there was significant progress in salary negotiations last year, but the workers expect the government to immediately commit to the new scheme of service. There's more in the following report.
The call was made at the National Delegate Conference of the NHIA Workers' Union held under the theme Stronger Together, Empowering Workers' Rights and Welfare, the Role of the Union. The conference brought together leaders and delegates from across the country to discuss workers' rights, welfare and the role of organized labor in strengthening the NHIS for the benefit of both staff and the public. Speaking to the media, National Chairman Yakubu Hamza said the proposed scheme of service has been tabled before government, awaiting further deliberation. He described the new scheme as critical to motivating workers, ensuring fairness in promotions, and enhancing productivity within the NHIA.
We are also battling with our scheme of service with them, which they agreed to work on. They have done some HR audit and all this. They have agreed to do that. But we send signal to them that we'll put pressure on them to do this. If we are not getting any clear signal of they committing themselves into it, we have different means of approaching some of those issues. So these are some of the things. Our CA is also another thing that we are working with them, and thankfully it's at the verge of completion, and I know very soon it will also be done.
Mr. Hamza noted that a well-structured career path would not only boost staff morale, but also strengthen the overall delivery of service under the NHIS.
We are the staff of the organization. So whatever we are affected, whatever affects the organization affects us. So we need to have interests, which we have actually started doing. We are collaborating with management. Whatever that is not going right, we bring them on their toe. We tell them that it's not only about negotiation of our salaries. Those things that are done within the organization that will affect staff, we go to meet with them. And this project that you are talking about, we actually approach management, and they said they have the keen interest in it. They have to collaborate with government. So I know very soon it will be a thing of the past.
Speaking at the conference, the director in charge of human resource at the National Health Insurance Authority, Angela Didinamo, reaffirmed management's commitment to workers' welfare. She said the authority is prioritizing measures to boost employee morale in the new year as part of broader efforts to improve efficiency and service delivery.
We are currently having a learning module system where orientation for new hires and training will be done online. We are currently paying all transfer grants, allowances. We are going to do a lot this year to ensure that our staff stay motivated. We have instituted a credit union for staff to make sure that their welfare is protected.
For Joe News, Nana Boachitan Koyadom, Kumase.
Let's now head to the Ashanti region. Vehicle owners in the region are expressing frustrations over delays in the registration of new number plates. Now, some applicants say they have spent days at the regional office of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, after traveling long distances to go through the registration process. But the DVLA says the vehicle registration process is going on uninterrupted, with over 1,400 vehicles registered in 2026. Here's a report.
Al-Hassan, a car owner, says he traveled 36 kilometers from Mankranso to get his vehicle registered at the DVLA office in Kumasi, but he has yet to be attended to since last Friday. He's worried about the lack of information on the delay, highlighting the growing impatience of applicants waiting for the new vehicle registration.
Friday,
since Friday when I arrived, I've not been able to get my number plate and I don't know what is going on. The embossment operators have also closed their shops.
But the Ashanti Regional Office of the DVLA has explained the delay in the rollout of the new vehicle number plate registration is due to incomplete legislative processes and not technical or network challenges. According to the regional manager, Jerry Edem Aflagbo, the vehicle registration remains uninterrupted. He explained 1,489 vehicle registration requests have already been initiated for 2026. 26, with 459 completed, but some were delayed to incomplete biometric verification. Mr. Flabo says the office is fully prepared to roll out the new RFID-enabled number plate system once Parliament completes the required legislative process.
They were not able to amend the LI 2180. Now, if you watch carefully, because what we seek to do has to do with the features on the number plate, change the features and the characters and the arrangement on the number plate. It was very important that the LI 2180, which has in it Regulation 10, which specifies what features to appear on the plate, had to be amended by Parliament. But that was late. It was supposed to take 21 days to mature in Parliament for it to become law. But unfortunately, it was only 8 days when Parliament went on recess. So, in view of that, we were not able to get the legal approval for that. And so the authority has not been able to roll out, as we announced earlier, that on the 2nd of January this year, we'll start with the new registration plate. However, we have said that those who cannot wait for the new plate can register their vehicles. And so currently we are maintaining the same features as we have, which have a suffix of 2026. And that's what we are using now.
Joseph Nsego's report for Joy News.
And still in the Ashanti region, residents in several parts of Greater Kumasi have commended the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly KMA and the Ministry of Energy for restoring street lights on key inner roads and streets on the city. Adom News journalists in Kumasi have been inspecting the ongoing regional capital rehabilitation street lighting and solar-powered wet lighting project.
Visits to locations such as the Edum to Ratri Park Main Road and Denyame indicated all previously non-functional lights have now been repaired or replaced. The initiative follows a series of reports on complaints by motorists and pedestrians on the dangers of plying the dark routes at night. Some residents recounted the insecurity they endured before the lights were fixed.
So far, no, the last time, that is so to say. Around 9.
One of my friends was walking on this stretch around 9 p.m. in the night when the lights were not fixed. Armed robbers attacked him and snatched his phone.
First, now I'm fix here. Now, fast food team fast on you. Oh, no, me fast on you next time.
Walking here at night was very dangerous, but now I can walk freely because the street lights have been fixed.
And the city of my Yamamono, Diana Walker found.
Some road traders, including basket weavers and cane sofa chair producers, also praised the authorities. They say the new street lights allow them work late into the evening without fear or panic.
Let me hear about us in Dino because I'm on for Takitaki, I'm on for Abasa, Amkani. But me more light, and I'm the bomb, Mamma, and the Edma. But light never now, Momo. People chose, so light me. Oh, I'll be doing one grown piano. I
will not allow anyone to break the bulbs that have been fixed and providing illumination for our night work.
Meanwhile, they have also called on the authorities to make sure that other parts of the regional capital still facing lighting problems are fixed as well. They express hope that the continued vigilance will ensure the safety and the illumination of their neighborhoods. Francis Menses reports for Joy News.
Let's do business now. A senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School is urging commercial banks to increase lending to productive sectors of the economy as a way of strengthening their loan books and safeguarding profitability. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Benjamin Amwa said expanding credits to growth-enhancing sectors is critical to preventing a squeeze in banks' net interest margins while also supporting economic recovery.
Yeah, for banks, the first thing that will hit banks is a reduction in their net interest margin. That is a worry to banks, but they have to consider it. Again, banks will have to look at how best they can also create their loans because you are intermediating and you cannot sit with the depositors' funds. You have to turn the money around. I'm saying that banks will have to look at the sectors within the economy that are performing and then consider extending more credit to these sectors. Areas that are difficult in terms of managing credit, the banks will have to shy away from and then keep the little that they can make from a low-yielding investment that we have in the economy.
Now, Ghana's economic growth could outperform official projections driven by tax reliefs that are gradually boosting consumer demand and supporting production across key sectors. According to an economic and fixed income analyst at Databank Research, Wilson Zilevu, recent fiscal measures are already stimulating market activity, setting the stage for stronger than expected growth beyond 2025. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
Must acknowledge the fact that the 4% set by the IMF was quite conservative in my view, and also the government also set a target of I think 4% by year and median growth of 4%, and that is also a conservative view. If you look at some of the policies that have been implemented, such as the removal of some taxes, it has stimulated consumption to some extent, although wages have not yet adjusted to the current price level. It has the easing of these taxes have allowed some level of demand on the market, or has improved purchasing power on the market. And I think that is what IC is trying to say, that would then mean that inventories would boost, and that would then mean that revenue margins would improve further in 2025. That should then mean that production should improve across sectors, especially the manufacturing sectors. So we should see growth cross the 4% level by the end of 2025 on the back of some of these policies that were implemented in the early part of the year.
And that's it for business. But before we wrap up, let's bring you what's happening on the commodities market. Well, that's it for business, and that's it for AM News. Don't forget that after AM News is AM Sports, and then we'll have our news review. We'll be joined by Senyo Amekplenu, his member NPP Communications team, Dr. Manasseh Minta, legal and environmental policy analyst, and Sharif Kantajeri, his member NDC Communications team. Join the ever beautiful MFA Akyea Adeti as she hosts these three wonderful guests for our news review. But if you want more news, I know a place, myjoyonline.com. My name is Denise Apomaide. Up next is sports. Enjoy the rest of the show and happy holiday.
Welcome back to the show. This is the AM show. I'm MFA Akyea Adeti. It is a holiday. It's going to be a long holiday for you watching. Am I happy to be here? Am I happy to bring you the review? Yes, I am. And so we're thankful that you choose us every morning. We're going to go into the matters of rights. And the major matter really is Mahama 1 year on. We've been discussing it all week. Today, we shall nearly wrap that conversation up. But before that, I'll take you to our online portals to bring you what's happening in the news, just headlines. And of course, I will start with My Joy Online. What is the news without My Joy Online? I will. Okay. All right. Pakistan is not a weakness. And the Assault Foundation condemns stigma after Franklin Kujo's disclosure. You must have seen that he says that he's been dealing with this for a while now. And also, the president has been speaking. He says that there will be no hiding place for criminals who injure or kill police officers. He's been warning. And as well, no room for waste. Mahama warns security services over misuse of state assets. And stop playing it safe. Kweku Karte urges Mahama to make the hard economic calls. The details of Parkinson is not a weakness as well is there. Legal Green Association review first year of Mahama administration. You should take a look at that. And for our most popular news on the right side of our portal, Oforiata's lawyers move to block deportation, seek U.S. stay extension for medical treatment. Ken Oforiata and the illusion of sanctuary. As well, Ghana reference rate for January dropped to a little over 15%. Interest rate set to decline. A lot of stories on myjoyonline.com. More political stories as well on MyJoy. But I'll take you to City Newsroom. Take hard economic decisions without fear, Kweku Karte tells Mahama. And that's their top story. Detention alone doesn't mean justice. Webu on Oforiata case. An update on DVLA. No mandatory digital registration deadline for pre-2023 vehicles. And as well on Mahama, the president says that government to award major textbook contracts to Ghana Publishing. And class media applauds Mahama over interdiction of the Ghana National Fire Service officers who assaulted a journalist. That's the update for City Newsroom. I shall bring you graphic online. Now, President Mahama pledges state support to public media. And court remand Kedik Senior High Technical School students over assault. If you have been following that story, it's just one out of the students that who have been alleged to have assaulted the teacher is a juvenile, and so they're treating his matter a little different. If you went to that story, you'll get the details. Graphic online as well as reporting how Franklin Kujo reveals Parkinson's diagnosis and pledges to raise awareness. That story is there also, and President Ray commits to ethical leadership, calls for unity. And another bus smuggling over 1,000 ammunition to northern Ghana. Details of that as well. We brought you that story yesterday, but details of that is on there. Here as well on the BBC, there is a real threat of U.S. military action against Colombia. President tells BBC. You find that story over there. Minnesota officials say FBI blocked their access to ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement shooting probe. Yesterday, you must have seen that the CNN was giving us real live updates on what happened on the shooting of a woman, a mother of 3, I think. ICE about you must have seen the footages, but the story as well is widely reported, and BBC is bringing it back to you as well. You can just take a look and then get some updates for yourself on this holiday. So let's get into the news review. Now, joining me in studio is Senyo Amekplenu. Senyo is a member of the NPP communications team. Sharif Tajiri as well is a member of the NDC communication team. And via Zoom is Dr. Manasseh Minta. He's legal and environmental policy analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the news review this morning. How are you? I hope you're well. A Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
Okay. Senor, has your year started very well?
Yeah. First of all, good morning, and good morning to your cherished viewers and to my brother too. I think it started pretty well. I won't complain for now, even though things are a bit hard in terms of prices of goods and services. But beyond that, I think that it's started pretty too well, yeah.
Are they? What have you bought in the last time that's very expensive?
Yesterday evening, I bought kenke.
Kenke?
Yes, just around your community here. It's just at the back, there's a kenke house.
Komlemle?
Yes.
Okay.
And the kenke, a ball of kenke, is 7 Ghana cedis.
It's 7 Ghana cedis?
Yes.
Has it increased in size?
The size, in fact,
the same.
If I eat 4, I will still not be satisfied.
You need about how much? That's
at least I think I need
3 is 21 cedi plus, so you need nearly 30 Ghana cedis. That's 4 balls.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much were you buying it before?
Before, it used to be 4 cedis, and I think as of last year, it was around 5 cedis. So yesterday, at the point I asked the seller again, Madam, how much is the kenke? Did you say 7 cedis? When did you increase? I said, oh, and I'll buy Hachana.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first. Then I was like, oh, Sir President, they said, Nyoma Boaba form. Gentina maybe. So I brought here, Mr. Wife, Dokono, 7 cedis.
Okay.
So I was a bit alarmed. So I quickly called a journalist friend of mine from one of the media houses, and I told him that, Joe, Dokono is now 7 cedis. Then he was also telling that, but Newtown here, I get my kenke 5 cedis. So when I showed him the place, I said, come and buy some.
So basically for the pricing, there is a little confusion where some people are selling it high, some people are selling it at the price that you're
well, but ordinarily, a place like this environment, you should not be getting kenke for 7 Ghana cedis. Maybe in a place like Cantonment and then East Legon, where some areas, and even, how do you call it, moving pick, and where you get kenke at 20 Ghana and, 10 Ghana cedis. Maybe that one will be a bit reasonable because we know those people what it comes with.
But would you say that it is, and I'll come to you, Sheriff, soon, but would you say that it is a one-off situation which you can now conclude to say that things are still quite pricey?
I think that it's something that is going on. Prices are not coming down. Day in, day out, it keeps increasing. And I don't know if it is the sellers or if it's probably a government that is not really telling us what is happening. Because you ask and you are being told that inflation is in single digits of 5.4%. And then they'll tell you that dollar is down. But trust me, that is not what we are seeing in our pocket. And I repeat by saying that macroeconomic indicators does not cook kenke and ewakpele in our various homes.
But at least it gives you some comfort and cushion to know that the rate at which prices of things were going has reduced. If you look at the factors that we take in consideration, we're talking about
I don't know when you say has reduced. I don't know what.
No, you use inflation as a starting point.
Yes, but inflation is down, which is good. But the prices of goods are still.
But it gives you an assurance that it will not skyrocket.
The prices of even our rents, it has never dropped. Rent is still increasing.
No,
I'm coming.
Okay.
Inflation will definitely affect rent. It will definitely affect my transport situation. It will definitely affect my water bill, my electricity bill.
But you say that the inflation is in single digits.
Yes, that's what government told us.
Which means that if your rent was supposed to be, say, 150 tomorrow, this inflation tells you that even if it's going to increase, it wouldn't increase at a price that the previous inflation would have indicated.
But I can tell you that just 4 days ago, a cousin of mine called to request for support for rent. Rent that used to be 800 cedis as at 2024. He is now requesting by telling me that the rent has skyrocketed to 1,100 Ghana cedis.
Maybe our Chubu. Let's go to.
It's not about Chubu. It's real. It's real. It's happening.
Okay.
If you look, I don't know if the last time you watched Oliver Vomawa, right? I think somewhere last year, he put on his Facebook wall that he does not understand why, dollar is coming down, inflation is coming down, yet our rent is still skyrocketing. So it tells you that a lot needs to be done. I don't know whether we need to look at price stabilization or price control. I don't know if that's what we need to look at.
I mean, a conversation that we can put on this table and discuss, except many economists have said that it's quite a difficult one to regulate prices in this country. But Sheriff, so Senyo here believes that he sees that inflation is in single digits and all of that. He thinks that the Mahama government says that things are okay. They've made some gains. They've recorded some good gains. But Kinke is at 7 Ghana cedis.
Good morning to you and to our cherished viewers and listeners from all across the globe, and to my brother Senyo here. It's right that we should all know that the Kinke seller out there who used to buy a bag of maize close to around 700 Ghana cedis, who now buys a bag of maize for around 300 to 350 Ghana cedis, commonsensically should either reduce the price of her Kinke or increase the size of the ball of Kinke. And so it will depend on where my brother Senyo here goes to buy his Kinke. If my brother Senyo is the affluent type who can decide to go and take his Kinke from the East Legon area or from the cantonments or from the ridge and so on and so forth, and then he would get his Kinke at a price that is not reduced, or better still, where the size of the Kinke is not reduced, then that is up to him. Basically, we all know, even during the Christmas festivities, the market women confirmed that the prices of goods are steadily dropping. And it should not be anything for my brother to still be pontificating, to tell the general public that indeed, even though the figures of the Mahama government are good, but it seems not to be reflecting on the ground. Go into the hinterlands, and people will confirm to you that actually prices of goods and services are either dropping or are a bit more stable.
So, I mean, of course, he's a citizen, and so if prices of goods are really low, I don't see how he will make it up. He also gave you where he bought the Kinke Kokumlemle. He says it's not in East Legon. Is it that indeed the prices of goods have reduced on paper, in our mind, by policy, but for real, it's not reflecting in the pockets of people? Is this a possibility?
You used to buy a gallon of your oil, like the 10-liter gallon of oil, for around 1,200 Ghana cedis. How much do you buy these days? Around 600 to 700 Ghana cedis. You used to buy the 5 pieces of 5 kg rice in a bag for around 600 to 700 Ghana cedis. How much do you buy it these days? You buy it around 380 to 400 Ghana cedis. You don't need anyone to tell you that prices of goods and services are gradually dropping. Of course, we may have to come back to the table to have a conversation around price control mechanisms and so on and so forth. That is something that government should look into. And so if we go on that route, I think we should all join the conversation so that we try to find an amicable solution to that. Because prices of goods and services may drop, but some sellers may still decide to be selling at the price that they used to sell previously.
Which is our poison we must stick to, because we operate a free market, do we know? The government cannot really promise that they can compel traders.
So that's why I said we may have to come back to the conversation table and try
on that table, what will we be discussing? How we can operate price control in a free market, which scientifically is not possible.
Well, so if it is scientifically impossible for us to operate price control in a free market, but there are certain commodities that government actually would have a control over.
Yeah.
For instance, those commodities that are being imported into this country, when the taxes are reduced, at least government can come into a conversation with the importers to also reduce their prices to a particular level. I think that is something we may have to look at in general.
Okay, Senyo, I'll come to you, but let me go on Zoom. You want to respond, but let me just take
something for him to understand. You see, he talked about the fact that petrol is down and all of that. But I want to draw your attention to something and for you to make that correlation. If you remember, a few months ago, Dr. Sharif from the Vice President's office. He was asked by this intelligent young man during a forum to draw the line between, price and inflation. And we all saw the kind of response that the gentleman received at the time. Come again?
I didn't see the response. What was
that? For me, when you ask me, I think that I don't want to sound to be a bit disrespectful, but with all humility, I think that the response given to the young man was not what it deserves. It was unintelligent on the part of the doctor to give that response. Because
what was it though? Let's all make the assessments. What was the response?
He tried to rubbish the gentleman by not responding to the issue and move to the next thing. By saying that, I don't know, I've forgotten, but I think that the response that was given was not the best. But what I want us to
It just will not be fair because we have mentioned the name.
I would definitely want to, I'll get the video for you before you, so that your producers can play the video. But what I want us to draw here is that he talks about the fact that maybe Senor is affluent and want to buy from East Legon or Cantonment. No, but that is not the case. I bought it from Kokomimli. But what I see here is that the nexus between this whole thing has to do with the fact that now, if maize is coming down, the prices of maize is coming down as is alleged to be.
In fact, there's a glut in the Upper West region. Maize glut.
You see, if it is now, as a kenke seller who is buying maize to come and prepare kenke, if I buy the maize, I don't get the maize just jump or fly in the air and get to my house. There's a process which has to be transported. Transport prices are not coming down. Now, when it comes, I need to use water. Tariff is increasing in terms of our water. When it comes, the light I'm using, I need to pay for it. All of these things are normal and basic economic that you need to understand.
I can't help but agree. Sharif, he makes a very solid point. But
the recent one I encountered, and I got angry with the restaurant people. I went to a restaurant recently with a friend of mine, and the place was so hot. And I asked them, why is your place so hot?
You have a 9%.
And the response was like, they can't come and be buying food and be asking for a reduction and I'll be owning my AC. So what it means is that the owner of the place is thinking about the increment in terms of paying more for utility bills, yet he or she is trying to, stabilize the pricing of the thing. So the next year, I think government should be real with us, like I keep saying. We cannot eat microeconomic indicators, or it will not cook banku or a workman in our homes.
Sharif, I'll come. He makes those points and you should notice. I just want to go to Dr. Menta, who's with us on Zoom. Doc, thank you. You followed the conversation so far. I was going to just go zooming into how you assess the president's or the current government's so far, but you can as well respond to a few of the things that they have, the comments that they have made so far.
Thank you, Mepa. Let me use the opportunity to thank all Ghanaians for their supportive roles that they've played in diverse ways in supporting the president to this far. Yes, Mepa, first of all, a disclaimer. I'm not in Ghana. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. And so if I want to comment specifically about the microeconomic indicators and also the price of goods, I might not be that so fair to the audience. But then I'll come into that later. Let me talk first about the president and then what he has achieved thus far. I think the president has done exceedingly well. For me, I'm much more glad about the concrete pillars that he has laid for our economy. I am more of an Afrocentric person, and then I go further into policy than a lot of people will envisage.
Okay.
He has put us on the path of recapturing our African identity and also carving a future for Ghana that is devoid of foreign influence and dominance. You can see from his policy about the national language that he wants to institutionalize from our basic school system, that we should use the mother tongue along with the English language. Of course, it's not our mother tongue. And I believe that if you teach a child his or her mother tongue, it goes a long way to affect the sum total person. That is a good thing. His initiative about the numerous road construction, that is unprecedented in this country. is also here for all of us to witness. I've been watching the videos here and there. People have been giving updates each and every day on the social media space. And I'm glad, I'm elated. I'm a Ghanaian, and when I see that some of these things are expeditiously done, unlike how it was done in the past, the roads were left in arrears, and then with dust and all that, and then a government comes to power, and then he's so much aggressive about infrastructure development in all facets. It's something that is worth commending. And I am here to say thank you, Mr. President. I also like his posture in a world space. He is asserting the Nkrumah's dream. As an Nkrumahist, as someone who believes in ideals of our first president, he goes on by reenacting that dream, trying to rally African presidents and African people as a whole for us to assert our place in history, and also for us to get along with one another and develop our own regional terms, from the world. He went to the UN the other day. He talked about slavery reparation, which is something I've been thinking about right from the time I was in University of Cape Coast. And I'm loving that. He has a child for that, in the person of Dr. Ekosio-Gilra, a very well communicated individual in the world space, which I know can lead that reparation drive. That is another area which, as an Afrocentric person, I love so much. And then also about the microeconomic stability that we are enjoying. It is something that I have to also commend here. Listen, the Christmas that had just passed, I watched videos over and over again on social media, and some of them make me laugh. People have still been commenting about it. They say it's a Christmas of a lifetime. They talk about the price of goods. They talk about how things were very marginal, and then they were able to afford. So it is very surprising that I have my friend from the MPP side talking about how a bowl of kinky has all of a sudden been so pricey. Listen, I send money home. I send money home from here. Even if I'm not in Ghana and I'm not affected directly by these consumer price indexes and the microeconomic stability that he is talking about, it affects me in so many other ways indirectly. I send money home. And then there was a time that when I sent even $100 home, it's a lot of money back home. Now, it's been significantly reduced. Why? Because inflation has come down, and it has affected the interbank market exchange rate. Is it a good thing for me? I think so, because it's helping my country in the sense that it's not just people making advantage of the situation, and then the economy itself is in a shambles. Now, when people receive money from Ghana and they complain that the money is not so much, I understand that it's because somebody is doing his job. And so for me, that side of it alone tells me that the president is actually setting us on a path of a very strong city.
But he makes the point, Doc, he makes the point that I see, macroeconomic gains. However, there are some things that from the back door, you would have to still increase the price of that bowl of kinky. And that's the case in point where the electricity tariff is right in our faces. You need the electricity. Other factors that will contribute to the cost of living of a person is still staring in our face. So if he says that, well, you say that inflation is low, it's in the single digits, everything looks quite okay economically. We're not feeling it because other factors are drawing from this. Is this not a point to look at?
It is, but here's the thing. I mean, he has even answered my question. See, it is not just one-sided of things. It's a lot of things altogether, and we know that. So obviously, the tariff side that he's talking about, the price of electricity, petrol, and all that, is something that probably maybe in a free market we can say the government can come in. But then there are so many other factors that the government cannot control now. So it takes time for some of those things to kick in. And that, to me, he has already answered. It takes time for those things to kick in. You're not going to see all of a sudden, just one day, the price, the tariffs, everything dropping, and then affecting the average person. It takes time for some of those other factors to be in control too. So for me, I think it is a good thing to also say that, well, the larger consumer price indexes, if we should collect it today, oil prices are going down. I mean, I'm talking about cooking oil. We're talking about rice. We're talking about the glut of maize and all that in the upper east, upper west regions. So these are other factors that went together with the larger tariffs later on dropping, will affect all of us, and it will be economically advantageous to the country. So for me, it is a time game. It is not going to be a day or a nightmare. All of a sudden, it's going to take a little bit of a time for everything to stabilize. And for me, we are in the right direction.
Okay, back in studio. Doc, hang in there for me. Back in studio, Sherry, if you want to respond to a few things. Senor made that point. It's true. How much electricity tariff, the recent increase was about 9%.
All right, so the recent increase in utility tariffs and how that affects the prices of goods and services, especially with the example he just gave, that the kenke seller who buys a bag of maize at a reduced price, but still will need electricity and so on and so forth, will not be able to reduce the price of the kenke. But we just spoke about it here. We just made the point that once the kind of market system that we operate in, we need to go back and have a conversation. We may have to have a conversation with regards to...
Some things are predictable, Sherry.
Yes. So
you have, see, there's maize glut. There's a lot of maize.
Yes.
But he says that you can't eat the maize like that. It needs to be processed.
Yes.
In that free market where you cannot even tell people how to price their goods and services, also exist other factors that will help the kenke to be edible. Sure. And those you can see are pricey.
So since time immemorial, kenke sellers have been using all forms of utilities.
Yes.
They have never stopped using utilities. So the fact that utility prices have increased in a way does not mean the price of kenke should necessarily also increase. Now you have a price increase of about 9% for utility tariffs, or 13% for in the case of water, and so on and so forth.
It's 15.
And you have a reduction in the price of a bag of maize up to about 50% or even more. A reduction in the price of a gallon of cooking oil up to about 50% or even more. Now, if the price of a gallon of oil has reduced from 1,200 Ghana cedis to about 600 or 700 Ghana cedis, you have a window of about 500 to 600 Ghana cedis. Compare that to the price you buy your electricity or your water.
It can cover for it.
Yes, whether it will make sense for the kenke seller to increase price or reduce price. I think that should be the angle my brother should have been coming from. And obviously, if you have an outstanding 500 Ghana cedis, and you used to buy an electricity of 100 Ghana cedis, and there's an increase of, let's say, even 20%, what it means is that you are going to buy 120 Ghana cedis. You will still have about 480 Ghana cedis left for you. So it will not make sense for any kenke seller at this material moment to even pontificate of increasing the price of kenke, if not reduction. So I think that argument doesn't even hold. Then he tries to draw in the narrative of our brother, the economic advisor to the vice president, Professor Sharif Khalid, who in a conversation...
Do you know the fact of the matter?
Yes.
Could you bring me
but before he comes, this was his response. He said Ghana was...
No, the question before the response.
No, the question was, what's the correlation between price...
Correlation.
I think you should have allowed me to...
No, I just want to...
Okay, he raised it, so it's better he clears it.
When the correlation question was asked, then his reply was that Ghana was still in a period of economic stabilization, but with encouraging signs. That was his response to the gentleman, and I felt that, no, that response was not enough. As somebody who is an economist, it would have been prudent if you expatiate more for us to know the nexus between, how do you call it, price and inflation. Because in basic economics, we know the effect of inflation on price.
But if you say that he didn't answer the question, he moved on to other things, it would then not be fair to describe.
Yeah, so that's why I seek to draw your attention to the fact that this was his response, and then move to the subsequent submission that
Sharif, I see that
not
you have a
related to
point.
the question that was asked.
I think the narrative he's putting out is not entirely true.
It's online. You can Google it. It's online.
Oh, just
it's online. It's online. No. I don't peddle falsehood. That's one thing.
Take your time, my brother. Take your time. When the student asks the question, the student says he used to buy Bella Akyea at 5 cedis, 6 cedis or so.
Is that 3 cedis? But it's now 5 cedis.
But the price of Bella Akyea is still the same. Okay. Now,
that was no. Don't disturb. I am the one who brought up the issue. So when you are, I brought up the issue.
Take your time.
No, but he's not putting
your time.
You are not,
because both of you do not have the legitimacy to actually talk
what
about
he's saying, I know the
because
issues.
it is about somebody.
He asked about Belacqua. He said the price used to be 3 cedis, and now it has increased to 5 cedis.
Make progress.
What is the correlation between price and inflation coming down? This was the question.
And I'm saying that
so you don't
progress. If he's not allowed to also respond. Why?
Okay.
Because both of you are not the two characters in that issue. So we're just trying to wrap our heads around. I shouldn't allow it, but because we've put it up, we just need to get to finality of it.
All right.
What exactly
thank you.
was your response?
So granted that the young man said he used to buy it at 3 cedis and he now buys it at 5 cedis. The first comment the professor made was that you must be a posh student. Go in, let's look for the meaning of the word posh, but he said it in passing. Okay. Now to mean that maybe the student is someone who likes...
Sophisticated.
You get a point. Then he moved further to now explain, using the points we are just making on this table, that Ghana is on the path of growth and trajectory. We are operating a particular model of an economy. And so in the not too distant future, certain things are going to fall in place. It's not everything that can just happen out of a blue. You can't just limit this argument and then just say, oh, the professor disrespected the student and so on and so on.
I never said disrespect. No, I never said so. No. You cannot misrepresent the facts here. You are speaking to the... I never used the word disrespect. The host is even here. So, no, I am not sitting here for you to peddle falsehood.
No.
Did I use the word disrespect?
No, you actually used a word that I was not happy about. You said it was unintelligent.
I apologize even before using the word. Before I even use that, I said, with all due respect.
Okay.
I said that.
Can I have my time?
Just to show a sign of disrespect, a sign of respect to him.
Okay.
So don't withdraw that statement.
So I think
no, he should withdraw that word. That
one of the
what he said, that I said. He knows what he said.
Okay, let's not reduce the conversation to petty words. Now make the point. I think the viewers will make their deduction.
MFI.
Yeah.
I think by and large, President Mahama and the NDC government for the past 1 year has been very phenomenal. Okay. I think at this point in time, we should even be giving the president a standing ovation for the kind of stellar performance he has kept out in the past 1 year. Look, President Mahama is operating this economy in the past 1 year as if he's in the final year of his term of office. To the extent that people like my brother critique him as if we are even going for elections tomorrow.
Okay. So I've just received a message. Person doesn't want his name mentioned, his or her name mentioned, but says that the Professor Khalid's response also shocked me too. It was an opportunity to educate the young man.
I have to pull this video.
I believe a lot of people bash him for that. Yes. The person doesn't want the name mentioned, but I think that the viewers can make their conclusion because it is out there. This was in public, right? But you also are making the point that he further went on to use these factors that you're using to explain the gains.
He never did. He never did. The video is out.
Let's make progress then.
Yeah.
Let's make progress. We'll move to the general performance.
I said generally, the performance of President Mahama and the NDC government for the past 1 year has been spectacular.
What has been your personal expectations of this government in the last 1 year that you don't think that they lived up to? For you personally,
for me,
yes.
My personal expectation that
they didn't do in that 1 year.
I feel oral is delaying. But of course, as a student, I also think that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they ought to grind exceedingly fine. And so when it comes to issues of the law, we have to deal with them in a more precise and concise manner. And so that may be my only issue
Did we not know this when we were inviting the appetite of Ghanaians to justice, which is why you use oral?
But inviting the appetite of Ghanaians doesn't necessarily mean we would just come into power, they swear in the president, and the next day they start incarcerating people.
The impression was created as though it's just a done deal.
MFA, governance is a process, and the legal process also is working. There are so many cases that are in court currently, and the fate of those people are going to be determined going forward. Indeed, the lawyers and judges believe that it is better to leave 1,000 guilty men out than to imprison one innocent person. Yeah. So going by this analogy, it will not be proper for our Attorney General to rush, to go in a haste, and then maybe end up sentencing some people who, on the other way around, would have been innocent of for some of the offenses they are being held of. And so, but for me, as an ordinary Ghanaian, sitting back, what I feel is that most people feel that process should have been a bit more quicker, so that maybe probably by the end of the second year of the government or first year of the government, some people we would have seen some signs that some people have gone to jail or some monies have been recouped and so on and so forth. I think that's the only issue. But
Doctor, let me go to Dr. Minta especially because you have introduced the conversation on legal, oral, the law and all before I come to you, Senor. Doc, you've heard, Sharif has just brought our attention to the government's performance, accountability, citing oral and thinking that, well, it's a bit slow, the results we expected for oral. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, that's true. From my point of view, I wrote extensively on this, even in your space. One of the articles I wrote on Joy was, the law is not a good market. Listen, and for me, it's a perennial problem with our type of politics. I'm blunt. I have to go straight. I speak my words in hard words. When we whet the appetite of Guineans, especially whilst we're in opposition and etc., and then make them believe that we have that magic wand. As soon as we come to power, we're going to jail people all around because they misappropriated our funds and etc. It creates the impression that we are already muscle, we are already flesh, we are already knowing everything that is handy for the process to be in effect. And so when we come to power, like you rightly said, the impression is that we're just going to throw people in jail and then recoup or recover money from there, here and there. But that is not how the legal process works. It grinds slowly. It takes time to even indict someone, even get to the discovery stage, martial actions, go into court, go to trial. It takes a whole lot of time. But you see, we created this impression in the minds of our supporters right there before we came to power. And now, a year after elections, here we are. I don't know how many cases the AG has been able to prosecute effectively. They're going to court, we know. But the process is slow. And this, unfortunately, the average Ghanaian does not understand this. It is not just the NDC. It's both the NPP and the NDC. This has been going on. And so there should be a way we should sanitize this type of politicizing. When you find a problem whilst you're in opposition, don't make it a party propaganda. Don't make it a campaign message. I have a problem with that. And I have to be strong and bold to point at that the NDC failed in this regard. Okay. I am not happy about it. And if, like rightly the Minister of Foreign Affairs said, if Aura fails, then NDC is too. What's your
assessment of the Attorney General's posture?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I know from a legal point of view that prosecuting corrupt officials, etc., takes a lot of time. So I'm not surprised at all. My very good friend Justice Wisai, Dr. Justice Wisai, is doing so well. But the truth of the matter is that if we should seek closure for cases such as the ones that are pending before the court, it's going to take a whole lot of time. And it's going to take, even to this end, probably maybe by 2028. It's not just a child's play. Criminal prosecution is not a child's play. It is a lot of things. We have, every crime has its own elements. You have to prove every one of these beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the highest threshold that the law has ever had. And it's not just probable cause or whatsoever. So, indicting someone or coming to the media space to give press conferences here and there about a case, it's not a closure. The closure is that if you have evidence, go to court and prove every element of it. And these are very huge thresholds. So I know, from my point of view, that this is not a child's play. It's not a nightmare. It's not a day's job. It is going to be a whole lot of fight. Now, I learned they went to plea deal with some people, and I've seen commentaries on that. But listen, that is still not a closure. It's a long track. Let's be honest with ourselves again, yes. Let's be honest with our supporters. When we want power, we should be honest that when it comes to legal prosecution, when it comes to criminal matters, not even civil matters, it's a whole track. It's a whole game plan of it all. And that is why I'm not satisfied at all with the performance of the government as far as Aura is concerned.
Okay, Doc, thank you. Back in studio, Senor.
Well, I am, for once, I am happy that Doc has, indicated.
But your colleague right here has also been honest about a few things he's not happy about. He said, how you are able to skip your colleague here to go on Zoom? Because it's a long journey.
You could have allowed me to finish, because I was going to narrow the issue in a particular way. Yeah, I was going to maneuver it this way.
It's my time. I'll give to you, please.
So I'm happy Doc has accepted by saying that indeed it was used as a propaganda tool, because he made mention of that, and I keep saying that the issue of aura that the NDC trumpeted so much in the heat towards the election has not achieved any result so far. We were told that they were going to get over $21 billion out of it. As of now, I don't know if we've even got 1 billion Ghana cedis out of this. So it tells you clearly that indeed it emboldens Mr. Daniel Dumelovo's statement by saying that most of the things they receive are just baller. Most of the things they receive are baller. That is why today they are unable to advance their case, and in even making an attempt to advance their case, instead of you to go to the court to seek for redress, to prosecute the people, you tend to make it a movie center where you now have somebody directing you, go this way, go that way. It is not the order of the day. That is not what we want to see. For me, I've remained very resolute and clear in my mind that if there is any NPP person, if there is any former appointee who has embezzled funds, the law must deal with the person ruthlessly. I will not hold brief for the person. I will not want to stand as a spokesperson for the person. If the person has been found, guilty by the law, the person should be dealt with. So for me, I agree with the Doc and then my brother who feels that the issue of aura is no, is not actually responding or getting the response that we were made to believe. Now, I come back to, he made a statement that the president, in fact, had a very stellar performance. I agree with him. In fact, the president did very well by bringing the dollar down. Today, at least if I'm buying something from the US, I know that my money is a bit okay. The tariff is good. But one thing is very sacrosanct. One thing is very sacrosanct. Electricity tariff is still rising. That is very sacrosanct.
Thank you, but in
water tariff is still rising.
Tariff been ever low.
So this is the catch. In the first term of Nanado in 2017, where we had even tariff increment before we came to power 2017, in the first year we never increased tariff.
You didn't?
We never increased tariff.
I have to fact check this.
Please do. Even Joy News has even brought a fact check to confirm that. Yes, we never increased tariff. In the second year, instead of even increasing, we ended up reducing tariff. So it tells you clearly that the managers of the economy are not only trying to, massage things, but they want to, as usual, the PR gimmicks. I am happy dollar is down. I'm happy inflation is down. But inflation and dollar cannot be down where our tariff in terms of water and electricity is still high. Our rent is still high. Rent is not coming down. School fees of our kids are never coming down. Day in, day out, we pay higher fees for our kids. So it's the prices of goods are not coming down. So what else do we want to see? By people telling us that, the president has done a solid foundation. Is this solid foundation that will put food in our mouth?
Did the MPP inherit an economy that cushioned them not to be able to increase or decrease tariff? What kind of if you and Sheriff, I'll be asking.
If you recall, one of the toughest moment for the Mahama One administration has to be with the energy sector. Has to do with the energy sector and some other things that people really had issues with him and butchered him out of power. Now, these were challenging moments for Mahama One at the time. But in all those cases, when we came to power, we knew at the time that Ghanaians were suffering. Ghanaians were not okay, or were not okay with the darkness that we were coming from, and we needed light. And in quest of giving them light, we said, you know what, guys, let's maintain the tariff at the time. Even in the second year, we said, no, there is no need of increasing it. Instead, we need to rather reduce it. So for me, the argument has always been that when we were made to believe that things were not all right in this country, one would have thought that coming on board with the mindset that there is a reset, then you would have wanted to start from a point where we know very well that dollar is coming down, inflation rate is coming down, yet you are tasking the ordinary Ghanaian more in terms of utility prices. Yet you are failing to increase their salary and you give them a pantry of 9% increment, whereas you go to the Jubilee House and you are shooting up the budgetary allocation for the presidency from over 300 million Ghana cedis to 500 million Ghana cedis plus. So, you see, when you draw in the nails, it tells you very clear that one thing is sacrosanct. The government is actually doing well in one way or the other by using PR, by using mere PR to run this country. And that is fine. But one thing, again, the government must understand is that in as much as they portray to be doing well, governance cannot be replaced with pseudologia fantastica.
English, please.
Governance cannot be replaced with pseudologia fantastica, which simply means that you cannot replace governance with fantasies. You cannot replace governance with deceptions. You cannot replace governance with lies. Facts are facts. Facts are sacrosanct. That is the point.
Senyo makes a few claims. I'm actually looking for where we fact-checked. I haven't seen that yet, except I've seen members of the NPP touting that, but we haven't fact-checked that one yet. I actually see that in contrast.
So you probably can fact-check. You can fact-check. If that, and I think
because if we have fact-check, I will know it by all means.
Okay.
So the
maybe probably that wasn't what I said, but I think that
2017 to 2024
it's out there.
Recorded a cumulative increase of 57.45 average, just 7% annually. We'll get into that, but please respond to a few.
Yes, so MFI, on utility tariffs, he tries to make the point that throughout the first 1 year of the NPP government, they did not increase utility tariffs. Well, you are still trying to fact check, but granted it's even true. MFI, the prices of utility tariffs at this point in time are being, under the IMF program, is one of the conditionalities. And so, at the time they came into office, we were at the verge of exiting the IMF program that the NDC went into. So it afforded them more window of opportunity.
They're not same for today.
Well, but
you're at the verge of exiting.
Yes, but in our case, the IMF is even proposing, coming to the demand for an extension, which the government is reneging on. So if
extension?
Yes.
It's not true. I'm going to put out a document. No, you're not continuing.
Well, at the breakfast meeting with the IMF just a few weeks ago, one of the proposals they put forward for government was for an extension of...
To end in August instead of May,
yes, but government is reneging on doing that. So if you are under this kind of system, it's practically impossible for government through the PURC to come out and wholesomely control the prices of utility tariffs.
And not
indeed, in some cases, some of the utility service providers like Ghana Water Company proposed more than 200% tariff increment. You remember?
PRC gave 10%?
Yes. So government was able to come to the table with them, and at the end of the day, what they got was a little less than 15%.
15, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we should be applauding government for even doing that. Imagine the tariffs were increased about 50% or 60% or 70% as demanded by the tariff providers. So I think with that narrative, my brother should not even have gone there. Then he comes to also make the claim that budgetary allocation to the presidency is increasing at the expense of some other agencies or the ordinary Ghanaian and so on and so forth. But he also fails to allude to the fact that so many projects are going on at the seat of government. And so for most of the projects that are going on at the seat of government, they need to be allocated some finances for those projects to take.
Example?
Oh, the entire information ministry and the government communications has been moved.
Sits there.
Yes. So the issues of Ghana Publishing Company and all the other agencies that are under that particular ministry are being allocated funds to the Office of Government Communications, right?
So it's not the same as the previous?
No. So I think it doesn't operate in same fashion. So I think this alone should give my brother an insight to know that things are a bit different now. We are on the path of growth and trajectory. MFA, holistically, look at the kind of road construction that are going on in this country in the past 1 year. Contractors that are on major roads. Yesterday, I applied the Gomwa Road, the Accra-Winneba Road. And unless you see the kind of work that is being done on that road, pass through the Amasamai-Pokwasi Road and see the kind of work that is being done over there. And most of the contractors are being paid. I get the point.
Those projects are continuing projects.
It doesn't necessarily matter. But at a point in time, most of the projects were halted and the contractors complained that funds were not being released to them. In the case of the contractor on the Amasamai-Pokwasi Road, he was allocated about $77 million and counting. So, my own hometown, that has not received
which is where?
My hometown have not received any major.
Question.
Which is where?
I will come to that.
Relax. Mention it. Be bold. Which is
yes.
The road from Wenchi through Bole, Bamboy, Sola, Tuna, Kaleba into Wa, okay, proceeding to Hamele, have not received any major facelift in the past 80 years. Indeed, last 2 months, President Mahama cut short for the construction of that road. And that road is going to link the Bunu East region to the Savannah region, the Savannah region to the Upper West region, the Upper West region to the Upper East region. Okay. And you can imagine the kind of development, the kind of improvement in lifestyles that the construction of this road will bring to the people who live around that enclave. Not only that place, MFA, the road around Volta region, also receiving major facelift. So I think my brother should, at least for once, and his people should accept the fact that this government is putting up very splendid performance in all its facets. MFA, when was the last time your lights went off?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, your lights went off. For how many minutes? Or how many hours?
It stayed about 2 hours.
Okay, so, but that cannot be necessarily attributed to maybe doomsaw or power rationing or so on and so forth. Maybe some issue of a sort happened around your area and then probably your light had to go off for a few hours before it is being restored. So the point I'm trying to make is that the energy minister, our brother Dr. John Abdullah Jenapo, has been able to stabilize our energy sector. Our electricity no longer goes off. Our brother Eduji Tamakulu and Co. at MPA have been able to provide fuel for us at our pumps, such that when you take your car there, you don't have to even go and join a queue. You get the point?
Yeah. So
this is the kind of economy we want to live in. And that is what the NDC government under President John Dramani Mahama is providing for the good people of Ghana. MFA, I can't end this submission without saying kudos to our finance minister, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, and our brother Sami Jemfi at Gold Board. They have brought their heads together and they are putting up very marvelous performance. And they have been able to stabilize our currency. Of course, I must admit the fact that my brother concedes that in that arena, the NDC government is doing well. I think that is the route we all need to take, such that when government does the right thing, even though you may not belong to the political party in power, you ought to commend them for what they may have done.
Okay.
So I think in general, government deserves commendation and our support, so that in going forward, whatever that needs to be done for the good people of Ghana, that is you and I, to live more peacefully, more harmoniously, and to enjoy the better quality of life that we ought to have, is being gotten from the government in the next 3 years.
You have a few pushback.
Yes. First of all, I have sent the IMF report that has to do with the lies that my brother seems to, put out there, that the IMF requested from government in terms of, extending the, the agreement, and I wish they could. I would be glad if they can project that for viewers to.
It has to be a verifiable document.
Oh, of course, it is. It is a verifiable document.
But that's what I'm saying. Until I verify it, I can't put it.
So I've given it to your producer, so they should please project it.
Just make the point.
Now, this is the document, and I read. It says that based on the strength of the policies outlined in this letter and the attached MEFP, we request completion of the 5th review, completion of the financing assurance review, and a disbursement of SDR 267.5 million. In view of the expiration of the ECF program in May 2026, an additional 3 months period will be required to enable the completion of the final review of the program. Moreover, we request a modification of the nominal fiscal objectives. This was a letter that the finance. Oh, please
hold him to his own words.
Please allow me. Allow me to finish. Stop what you are doing. Stop what you are doing.
With his own words.
Stop what you are doing.
His own words.
This was a letter.
Granted, your document is authentic. Hold it.
This was a letter that the finance ministry and his team wrote to the IMF, and in the course of their report, they captured it. It is coming from Ghana. This thing has been put out over there. Your team could not even come to show a rebuttal. So don't sit on this public platform and peddle for you. IMF will come to you for extension for what? How does it affect IMF? How does it affect IMF? Your finance ministry, I am putting it out there. The Honorable Minister Atta Akyea and his team,
but let's
I dare them to come and tell me that they did not request for an extension for 3 months.
No, but hang on. Let's not confuse matters here, so that it sounds like they're requesting for an extension for what? What's the extension for? What's the extension for?
Oh, I just read it. I've given it to you. I don't know why they.
It says that no. It's editorial. We don't just put things up, my dear Senor. It's with me here. You have given me a copy, and I'm referencing it. So okay. I'm asking a question that it says that. I just want to quote: "Is we request a modification of the nominal fiscal objectives, primary balance, and nominal GDP projection, with the view of keeping the fiscal effort relative to GDP as envisaged under the program." I want to go to where it says. An additional 3 months will be required to enable the completion of the final review of the program. This is different from an extension of help, asking the IMF for an extension of the program.
An additional. This is
no review of the program. An additional. This. My understanding.
Read the entire where it's been highlighted. That's why it would have been good for projection.
So I'm sure you have that just for clarity for viewers.
Okay.
No, so that they don't end up thinking that they say that the NDC government is requesting an extension from the IMF.
But I am also saying,
and I'm saying that right here it says a review of the program.
No, but I've highlighted the whole thing for you.
But I've quoted it here. And
I'm saying that in view of the expiration of the ECF program in May 2026.
Yes.
An additional 3-month period will be required.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Will be required for what? Finish it.
An additional 3 months will be required to enable the completion
of the
review.
Of the final review, yes.
Now, so if you are requiring, what does it mean? You are expecting, it's a request you are making. This is common communication skills. This is common communication skills.
You can't necessarily
use are requesting for an additional extension because you want to manage the physical discipline of the economy. That is what you pontificate out over there to the IMF.
Oh, okay.
You wanted to.
But do you understand his argument?
You said you wanted to. You said you wanted to. Work on your physical discipline, so they should give you an additional 3 months to be able to, work on this.
Basically, that's the import of it.
You don't understand the issue. You don't sit here and throw.
No, Senor, don't. Take your time. Don't do that.
It connotes to the 3 months being a period for the review of the program.
But just for clarity, it's not the IMF that requested
it doesn't necessarily.
So it's not IMF who requested. No, make that clear.
That's what Senor wants you to be clear.
It is not IMF who requested. Make it clear.
It doesn't also mean. It doesn't also mean
when we make errors, we accept the mistake.
It doesn't also mean government is demanding an extension.
Please, you guys, I keep saying
you can't say government.
Your lies will not be there. You see, you keep on peddling lies, and that is why I said I've described you in one word. Your government is a megalomaniac government. That is what you parade yourself on lies.
If we don't go this route, what will happen?
Okay, I'll go to Dr. Mintah for his final words.
I really did not want to delve into this area.
Yeah, for your final words. Yeah.
But I think I have to come in.
Okay.
See, the NPP communicator came in and then he started to draw a nexus between the price of goods. I mean, he's talking about the consumer price index and also the utilities that keep rising. And I just wanted to be blunt. You see, I live in America for almost 17 years now. I mean, in the state of Massachusetts. Since I've been here, I've never seen the price of petrol, gasoline, went far beyond $3 per pump. I'm talking about the pump of gasoline. Now, what I realize is that there is an equilibrium that the price has reached. So whatever happens, it doesn't really go beyond. Now, what I notice with our Ghanaian counterparts is that we play the same gimmicks, massages with prices. We hide behind, subsidies in order to make our government look good. Then, in other departments that are critical to the economy, that we suffer. Even Nigeria, that produces more oil than Ghana, does not go this way. You see the whole thing. So if he is saying that their government came to power because they wanted to appease the people of Ghana and they subsidized petrol, etc., and then that is why life was so good for Ghanaians, he's lying. It is not true. It means that there is rather a sign of incompetency. This is a government that wants to go equilibrium. This is a government that wants to take full responsibility and also to put us on a path of recovery. So why would a government be going and be jimmying and hiding behind tariffs and then be deceiving Ghanaians? It doesn't make any sense. For me, that is why I sat here and told you that it takes time for all these things to kick in. When we get to equilibrium, I believe that all these other prices will come to a certain condition where Ghanaians will start to feel it in their pocket. So yes, if he's saying that in certain areas, Kenke is high because electricity tariffs are still high, rent is still high, well, to some extent, it may make sense to the lay Ghanaian. But if you want to take a bold and decisive decision in order to stabilize pricing, that is not the right way to go. You need to get to that equilibrium. And I think that this is what the government is doing.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Manasseh Mintah. Dr. Mintah, you wanted to say something quickly?
Yeah, let me just quickly say shout out to a quick friend, a very good friend of mine at the EPA, Dr. Patrick Essien, and another very good friend of mine who is called Patron. They're watching me right here. I want to say may the good Lord be with them and bless them this year.
Okay.
Wish them a happy year.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Manasseh Mintah. Senor, we don't have time. No, and we don't have time. I only have 30 seconds and it is for Sharif because he has to respond.
But he ridiculed what I said.
He did what?
Yes, he did. He cannot be in U.S. He cannot be in U.S.
Yes, so
I want to talk about prices. He cannot want to be in U.S. and want to talk about prices.
I read.
You are living a flamboyant life in U.S.
Just a few days ago.
Yeah.
President Mahama made a conclusive statement that Ghana will not be extending our IMF program.
Yes.
Right. And he indicated that we are going to finish complete the program on the scheduled date and there will be no need for the program to be extended. Now, I was making the point that at the breakfast meeting with the governor of the Bank of Ghana, the finance minister and co, the IMF brought out a suggestion for a possible extension of the program to August.
Of the program itself?
Yes, to August, which they declined. I get my point. So now,
so this is entirely different from this.
Yes, my brother cannot use the review. My brother cannot use the review.
It is clear you have reviewed your mind. You've reset your mind.
This is what I began. This is what I said.
Reset your mind.
My good friend.
One thing is clear.
Thank you.
That when you cannot make sense,
a good part of the holiday ever. Thank you so much for joining us for the news review. I know that you're looking forward to the conversation with lawyer Atta Akyea. I do too. Please stay. Thank you so much for spending your holidays with us here on the AM show. And a conversation I think that you're looking forward to, at least I know. I myself am looking forward to this conversation. Lawyer Atta Akyea is former Works and Housing Minister, former Member of Parliament for Iboka South as well, and a leading member of the Dr. Bawumia campaign team, I should say. Lawyer, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure as always.
I don't think I've seen you in a smock before. I've seen you robe, I've seen you in suits, I've seen you shirts folded, but I don't think I've seen you in a smock.
Yes, I decided to put on smock today because I'm celebrating the victory which is ahead of us. That the MPP looked at the personality of the man, his competencies, and what he can achieve for us to vote for Dr. Bawumia. So I'm wearing this smock to reflect the national character of our party.
That's interesting. For victory, I would have thought it would be our favorite color, white. This is a very unique color.
It's a very unique color. It's coming. I'm going to put on serious white smoke too. Yeah, but I decided to wear this as we begin to soldier on and win on the 31st of January.
It's been a while since you left Parliament. How have you been?
It's been extremely restful because of the weight of becoming a member of Parliament. People take it for granted, but when you were a member of Parliament, excuse me to say, you are the father of a whole constituency. And with the greatest of respect, the demands on you can't meet. You see, because I've been saying it all the time. It's not you being the Parliament House, which is a challenge. I believe everybody with some average intelligence and has a teachable spirit can be a member of Parliament. Just go into the chamber, learn from people and the rest of it. But the majority of the task, what is so weighty, is bankrolling poverty. And people believe that, you have a deep pocket and you meet their needs. All manner of demands that...
How did constituents come up with that impression? And it looks to me as though we have lived with that impression. A member of Parliament is rich. He must be able to do everything that I need. And it sounds as well that it gives a lot of pressure to members of Parliament. How do you think we arrived at this impression?
Well, it's unfortunate how it came to be because it begins with how you become a member of Parliament.
Okay.
You become a member of Parliament and somebody was making a mockery out of it that some people were in a room and they're having their own personal problems and poverty challenges. And then you were behind the door and you said, look, I'm coming to help you. Then they tell you that before you come in to help us, pay us our gate fee. So, excuse me to say, it's a very funny culture we have evolved. That look, you cannot serve us unless we sack you, we take sufficient money from you. And this is what has become like, oh, he came not to do much, but just to be sorting out problems here, buy a coffin for this person, child naming ceremony, throwing money. I mean, when it's getting close to Christmas or whatever the season is, the whole churches that you have in the constituency, you should plan for harvest time, all manner of demands. So this is where we are, but I believe that we should move from that. Should a man who is worthy of a good office pay for it?
For a 4-term MP, what has it cost you? Did you have to do any of this as well? Standing behind the door, knocking, and having to come with a price?
I believe that was the most difficult dimension of what I did. Not standing before, standing in plenary and making a good argument. Those are matters that you can always learn. But I could tell you that the 16 years as a member of Parliament for Iboka South, the most difficult dimension was an incessant demand for your resources. Well, it's good to help people because even Jesus said the poor will always be with you. But there is a sense of entitlement that, look, he's a member of Parliament and whether he has money or not, he has to meet my needs. And when people place a demand on you without regard to your resources, what you can make available, it can be cruel at times. So this is one dimension that everybody should look at. If you are not well-resourced, and if you don't have private success, don't force yourself in the public space.
Did you have to pay delegates the common stories that we hear? in all the 4 terms that you had to contest?
Well, I think I was blessed not to have been contested, I think 2 occasions. But the other 2 occasions, I have to contest. And it's, if you like, it's a culture that you don't go to Adokwanta and you are going to engage them without you saying after the engagement and everything, say that, oh, here. It's everywhere. And people might want to say that, look, I mean, what are you people doing to, I mean, the constituency? Are you not pampering them? I can assure you that they will not just look at your competence, they also look at your pocket. If not, a very prominent, intelligent, wise, clean man will be thrown away by reason of, I mean, the level of his poverty.
Lawyer, politician, party stalwart. Which one do you identify with the most? Which one?
It's a very mixture of, roles. But so far, I can say that I'm back to the legal practice and I'm enjoying it because for once, I don't have a queue and, people entering your space because they think that, oh, you are the member of parliament. I'm relieved. But what is very, very important is the future of our party in Ghana. And that's my serious assignment for now. And how is Ghana beyond President Mahama? And I'm of the humble view that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is a very competent, a very neat individual, a well-cultured man, that we should tap into the abilities God has given him. And we can rise as a very, very powerful nation with him.
Now that you have introduced the Bawumia conversation, since you left Parliament, I see that you have been lawyering a lot, and most as well for persons who were appointed by the previous government, your government at the time. So you have left, you're not representing the constituents, but you're as well in court representing people who are related or quite under the umbrella of your government. You're as well campaigning on competence, accountability, and all the other variables, if you like, Bawumia. Should Bawumia then become flag bearer? Should he go on to become president? And then the people who are being investigated, who were under his regime, are found guilty, culpable. Where will we draw the balance?
Well, I will tell you one thing which is very important for everybody, if you understand the ethos of democracy. Don't interfere with the rule of law. The fact that you are in power does not license you to be criminal. And let's get it right. So I was very, very, very disturbed when the Attorney General entered nolle prosequi for people who have been arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction for various offenses. Immediately they were ushered into power. So what will happen? If Bawumia should be president and it is found that, oh, an MPP individual has fallen foul of the law, I'm of the view that let due process run. Let it continue.
Would it be a problem of a person who is an Attorney General or the law that allows the Attorney General to enter nolle prosequi? I ask, what do you think is the problem? Is it the law as we have it, because then people can hide behind the law? Or it is the person who occupies a particular role?
It is the democratic posture of the government. Attorney General will not function that way, that I've entered nolle prosequi, when it has, serious, financial consequences as well, and people who have been arraigned and even somewhere, on trial. So it is a political decision. It's not because of the fact that you have the power to enter nolle prosequi, but that is a decision of the NDC, that we don't believe that these individuals should be prosecuted. And that was the end of the matter, because by the law, as you are trying to draw on, he didn't assign reasons why, somebody, should continue being prosecuted. But I'm sure one of these days to be tested in the Supreme Court as to whether or not it could be at the whim and caprice of the government and by extension the Attorney General.
One of the star cases, I like to call it the star cases, of course, is the Dubois. Now when I see you, I just can't help but remember the Dubois case. What exactly are you in court for Dubois? Well,
we are in court on the account of, first of all, remember a very, huge well-advertised and choreographed press conference that this individual has stolen 49.1 million Ghana cedis under the guise of giving Ghana a cyber security system, and he's opened a private account which was a receptacle of the proceeds of a crime, and he owns houses, and he has a house in London and the rest of it. So after the media condemnation of the man and the pronouncement of guilt in the media space, he was arraigned before the High Court. And that's when I've come in, and then we are proceeding. We are with the second prosecution witness. The cross-examination is continuing. This is where we are.
Okay. Do you foresee, I like to think they say the law is predictable, and in your years of practice as a lawyer, do you foresee that he has a good case, he would have a good day in court?
He has a very, very good case, because at the end of the day, you can see a very poor understanding of the workings of national security. As a matter of fact, I keep saying that what is going on in the court is national security on trial. And I see people didn't understand that national security can open an account. They call it the operations account, to divert attention from what is going on. And this is the first time people are talking about a national security couple, very strong individual, in charge of the Signals Bureau of the whole country, which has international dimensions, going to steal money via a bank. That's an absurdity, a monstrous absurdity. It will never happen. But people didn't appreciate what is going on.
If we bring the conversation home, would it mean that this private account that the Attorney General is purporting that he had transferred a certain amount of money into would be this particular, the operations account?
Yeah, it was an operations account. In fact, there is evidence of the National Security Coordinator writing for the opening of the account. Okay. And there is evidence of the National Security Coordinator issuing checks to be placed in the account.
Okay, so is it clearly named an operations account, or it is in his name?
No, it was in the name of B.N.C Communications Limited.
So the directors of this company do not have any linkage to him and his family at all?
No, the wife who is the signatory to the account is what we call a sworn operative of the national security. So for example, if the national security wants to have confidentiality and secrecy, they could say that, look, find somebody you trust and let's use a person as the face for an account.
Is there any conflict of interest at all?
At all, because at the end of the day, it's not the face that controls the account, but the National Security Coordinator who decides how the monies are spent.
Is this by practice? Is this what happens, or this is some bespoke arrangement for him particularly?
Anywhere in the world, the operations of the national security can come through all manner of ways that ordinary people might not even understand. But let me pose this question. Who wants to steal money via a bank?
Maybe sometimes you don't think that you'll be caught soon?
I don't think this is the case, because they are originating documents from the National Security Coordinator, and it is clear that they wanted this account open. And they said the 49.1 million was intended for the purchase of a cyber security gadget.
Was it used?
And it was never supplied. There is preponderating evidence, in fact, not preponderating evidence, but conclusive evidence that these machines are being used. And President Mahama even gave a hint that, we will track you. That is a machine that they are using now.
What do you think is the intention of the government or the Attorney General?
Well, I cannot put my finger on it.
Is there an existence of a certain crime, except that the Attorney General is not able to prove it by the way our laws are, where he has to by all means be the one proving it, or there are just weaknesses in his argument, and so it will be a field day for a person who worked for the state?
Well, I believe that I don't want to sound condescending or try to, insult the intelligence of the attorney. I am of the view that ab initio, and in terms of the law, matters of national security have internal redress. You get the point? So that if somebody is an operative and becomes rogue, what happens is that they refer the matter internally And even there's a tribunal that will look at the matters. And then they understand what has gone wrong. But I believe that there was an over-advertisement of this case. But the evidential support, in the court of competent jurisdiction is very anemic. And that is the challenge because, if you got even a prosecution witness trying to explain that, but these things are what we do, and the very account is a national security account and not a private account. At least much to be desired, but this is what happened. I don't know whether there is an over-dramatization that, let's be seen to be prosecuting people. And madam, we should be very mindful of the fact that it is easy to do your razzmatazz in the public and in the media space, but it's extremely difficult to prove that this is a case which is beyond reasonable doubt, and therefore you secure conviction. The two are not the same.
What has been your greatest challenge being a lawyer for Eduboahene? How did you even become the lawyer for Eduboahene? And what has been the greatest challenge so far?
Well, my greatest challenge is the fact that it took some time for the truth to dawn, or is dawning, that indeed and in fact this is a national security matter. So to separate a national security matter from a private theft, I believe was a difficulty for the Attorney General. But as they folded their second witness, it's becoming abundantly clear that, we are treading on national security territory.
Is this, maybe for your choice of presidential candidates, Dr. Bawumia, and the people that you represent in courts, would it be fair if I think in my mind that you're shielding the members of your previous government?
I don't think so. I will not shield anybody. I will not encourage anybody to be a thief. But guess what? No doctor prays that people should be sick. But when they get sick, even in the very Constitution, they have a recourse to defense counsel. So, for example, if there's a case of medical negligence, which somebody might say tantamount to murder or whatever, or there was some serious matter, well, you need to defend the people according to law. But no lawyer is licensed to promote criminality. That is not our remit. Our remit is that, can you aid somebody within the remit of the law as, he's facing justice? That is all. But I do not believe that for the world of me, I'll be the one trying to encourage people in my party or anywhere that, look, crime is good. And the more you commit crimes, the better my bank account.
Okay. And so the biggest challenge for you in this case is how the reality of this particular case
it took some time.
On you. Okay.
It took some time because at the end of the day, as I said, it was the first time that you are guilty before we go for the trial.
This was because of the way the Attorney General presented the matter?
Highfalutin. For me, it is wrong. I don't believe that you should go into the public space, the media space, and pronounce a man guilty. The power to do so is not with the Attorney General, it's with the court. The Attorney General is just to have a good dossier. The Attorney General is supposed to, present his case. And guess what? Even by the law, the Attorney General is supposed to furnish the court with matters which are exculpatory of the accused person. The Attorney General is not there to say that, look, my joy is to get somebody in prison, but to present the case in accordance with law. So if the Attorney General is having documents that will aid the accused person and show his innocence, Attorney General is not supposed to keep the document. And this is one of the, I forgot to tell, that's one of the serious challenges I believe I've gone through. I believe that there were moments that we filed for disclosures, and we didn't get it. And that was very serious.
Did you think that these disclosures existed? Or they didn't
exist? They did. They existed. For example, they brought a whole bank statement that a considerable part of the pages had been taken away. Have you seen a bank statement that is challenged that way?
Did the Attorney General accept that a considerable part of that
Yes.
account? They didn't cite national security references?
Well, then, even if they said that, then why are they in court? See? As if you are arguing my case for me. That why would you do that? The undertones are national security. But that was a very serious bank account that, I mean, all that will help to show even the monies from this point to this point and the rest of it. I think about 87 pages were missing.
Have you been provided with this document yet?
No, to date, I don't have it.
What would you do then? How are you going to go around it?
Well, I pray to God that I can see that you have a legal mind. I don't know whether you're a lawyer.
No, I'm not.
If I'm not careful, I'll be doing my case in the media space.
That's fair.
So please.
Let's explore the time when you were Works and Housing Minister. I'm just focused on the Segleme Housing Project. What kind of Segleme Housing projects did you inherit?
Yeah.
And where did you leave it at the time of your exit?
Well, the Segleme Housing Project was a good idea. If you look at the facts, the contractor had a benefit of 200 million United States dollars, and it should deliver 5,000 housing units at Segleme, and for the good people of Ghana. And unfortunately, the contractor could not even do half the project. There were no amenities for the project in terms of water connections and the rest of it. And I think about 90% of the money was blown. So when we came to power, we were surprised that what has happened. So we pulled the bank account from the Bank of Ghana and we realized that this is the state of affairs. And we needed to do a proper valuation of the work. So the valuation was done and we saw the defalcation. It was very serious. Over $100 million had been blown and we don't have the full benefit of the project. The president said we should bring the matter to the CID so that they go into the matter. Then we did that. What we were supposed to do thereafter was to find a credible private individual who will be able to complete the structures. And then, I mean, we'll be able to give it to the good people of Ghana. And that was the struggle that we're going through until
you were unable to get the private individual, or it was a pushback?
Until I left the ministry, or I was pushed out of the ministry. So that was my aim, that in terms of the Constitution, all the things that the previous government did, which are consequential for the benefit of Ghanaians, should be continued. Directive principle of state policy. I don't say that Kufuor did one hospital for every district. And when a district should have a hospital, it's good for the people. But there's a regime change. Therefore, I'm going to abandon all the projects. And then you see that a potential hospital will be at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather, and then it becomes useless. I don't believe.
How did you feel about your removal at the Works and Housing Ministry? Were you mentally prepared? Did you see it coming?
I didn't see it coming at all. I thought that if there is the necessity to push me out of the government, the president should have what I call the bowels of mercy and call me. For one or two reasons, or by a sheer fact that I don't want to explain, you will no longer be part of my government. And it was very important to do so because at the end of the day, I've succeeded him. I've worked with him in his law firm, Kufuor Prempeh & Co. He knows me personally. So it was like a big shock. But at the end of the day, he was the president. And he decides who should come into his space. And I need to come to terms with that.
In politics, rumors as well exist, I've heard. Did you hear anything after you were removed? And what's the reason why you were removed? Did you hear anything at all, formally or informally?
What I heard, which was embarrassing, actually, But that somebody didn't want me to be there, that's all. It was pathetic. It was somebody who didn't have rational reasons why a member of parliament of Abuakwa South, I mean, not that I've dirtied myself, and a very serious loyalist of Akufo-Addo should be given such a shabby treatment. But it's water under the bridge. And let me tell you also, probably I'll be running away from this country, or I'll be somebody who is trying to run away from justice if I remain. So maybe God is good. And as they said in the Bible, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. For all I know, if I had made the full journey of 8 years with Akufo-Addo, I don't know where I would be. So I've taken it as some of the equations that only God can solve, and that's given me my sanity.
When you wake up today and you look back, do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets at all. One thing which makes me very happy, that I showed competence, I showed decency, I showed leadership, and excuse me to say, this whole position of a minister didn't get into my head. There's nobody who came to me and found me obnoxious, cocky. I received people. I even cut down the waiting time of people. That I'll go to the reception all the time and say, oh, madam, your letter is not ready. Can you come tomorrow? Because I was a bit unhappy with situations in which somebody is in your waiting room for 3 hours. The individual has not prayed for 1 hour and got up and is coming to work. Who are you, Atta Akyea, and the people who are sitting in your reception for 3 hours? Those kind of arrangements were, not too good. And I decided that let me serve people rather than being a lord over people.
This person who didn't want you to be there, do they know that you know?
Oh, he's aware. He's 100% aware what he did. And I leave it to God.
Have you spoken to him?
I've had moments of conversations with him, and he even came to my house to have a meal. My wife was there to serve him and the rest of it.
By this time, he knew that you knew about this?
Yes. I think maybe he realized the folly of trying to mess up another man. Yeah, but guess what? Some of these things, they have serious consequences. That if you believe that somebody should not be in this Joy FM space, and you use your cloud, whatever arrangement, to kick out that person, there are consequences because of the fact that this sowing and reaping principle will always catch up with everybody.
I'm fascinated by the fact that Dr. Bawumia belonged to that government. And surely there would not be a change in ministerial position or any other thing related to that government that he would not know. And so it's quite admirable that you still choose him as your option to lead this country. Why? I do not think he had power over ministerial appointments. I must be very honest with you. And people do not know the role that Dr. Bawumia was playing. There are a lot of people, who have very funny views because of their parochial interests, to always ascribe what he didn't have to him. At all. And I'm sure that if he had the choice, he would have maintained me. Yeah, because I worked with him on some lines, and he saw me that I was a competent person. So I do not believe that Dr. Bawumia had the power to be appointing ministers. Like somebody said, I was slated to become a minister for finance, but Dr. Bawumia stopped it. I found it very weird that person was saying that. He didn't have the clout at all. He was playing an advisory role. And guess what? Every advice will have a recipient of the advice. If the person decides that I will use the advice, fine. If the person says, I won't use the advice, that is the end of the matter. Is it what the party or the government decided to turn him into, or it's just like a texture of our laws that makes the vice president nearly doing almost nothing?
Brilliant. I thank you for what you said, because he's supposed to assist the president. What if the president should rebuff him? I don't need your assistance. What are you going to do? You could see, the tiff between President Rawlings and Vice President Akyea, you saw it. It nearly became physical. So it is the president giving you the space to function as you ought, which matters. I've heard people who are so cruel that he was in charge of the economy. He wasn't in charge of the economy. If they took the budget to Parliament, you will see that the budget of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the year, whatever, and the one who is going to read the budget is the finance minister. So, excuse me to say, a lot of people are cruel, and it serves their parochial interest and their political shenanigans to attribute all the troubles of Akufo-Addo to Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia was not the president of Ghana, and he uses this metaphor. People want to joke with it. There's a driver and a mate. A mate could sound a warning. Oh, driver, you're overspeeding. He is applying the systems. If he says he wants to speed them more and disregard your advice, what is that going to be like?
Why don't you get off the bus?
How are you going to do it?
You either tell them to stop or you jump off.
How are you going to do it? Do you want to, excuse me, say, bring the government system down? Have you seen situations like that? Sometimes you can endure because of the harmony of governance. If you want the harmony of governance to go on, it should be so. It should be like, excuse me to say, another glorified coup d'etat. And the vice president who's been sworn in is exited the government.
But if you look at the way the Constitution makes provision for him, he is supposed to assist the president, advise the president, which means that if I wanted to hold the vice president to account, it would be very difficult. It's very inconspicuous. So if he wanted to leave, he could also leave very inconspicuously.
Well, it depends on how you want to see the harmony, the unity of the country and the governmental setup. You see, if you remember when people congregated and said they don't want the finance minister, the system was shaking a lot, you see. So sometimes some people look at the long-run consequences of you not being able to stick in there and endure. Some people can't endure at all. You've heard a lot of people who can fight openly and do all manner of things and becoming of leadership. So I believe that he showed shock absorbers. He showed maturity. He served President Akufo-Addo faithfully, and he has the competence to lead this country. There's no dispute about it.
Where do you draw the competency from?
Well, I think Ghana is about to have, for the first time, a president who is an economist. Look at this latest development that people are touting, the gold reserve arrangement. Now, the evidence is pointing to the fact that he brought about this arrangement. Why? For the purpose of giving substance to our currency. And I'm glad that when President Mahama came into power, he's not jettisoning it, and they've built on it. The only problem is that, are we having serious gold reserve at the expense of the environment? That is the balance that I think that President Mahama should look at, because people are now giving gold to the state. Bank of Ghana is giving the gold board a lot of money to purchase gold. Where is the gold coming from? Are they coming from our rivers? Are the gold coming from cemeteries? Very sacred places that you shouldn't go for gold. People are doing the gold business because the government is ready to buy. So the currency might be strong on the basis of the reserves and the rest of it, but is it at the expense of the environment? This is one area that the president should look at.
How do we cure this challenge of the role of a vice president? I mean, if you look at the Constitution review, would you have thought that Constitution review would also look at that? Because then I hear people say the vice president suffered from what he indirectly wasn't part of, though we say he's part of the government. It's very difficult for us to want to separate him. We hear arguments, I don't know, he was just, advising, he was part of it. How can the Constitution, or how could we cure it? How could we give a firm, grounding position to a vice president that we can as well hold accountably, so we don't have the challenge of I was the mate, I was the mechanic, I was the driver?
Well, I can't envisage a constitutional arrangement that you have two presidents.
Okay.
So one, the buck stops with one individual, and the second one is supposed to assist him. So I can see a situation in which you have a president who believes in the vice president, and some roles are assigned him. For example, I've told you about this, gold reserves arrangement. What about the drone system? That was his initiative, that people might be living in some areas that they need medical help, and you ferry, drugs via drones for their purposes. The whole of the address system.
If what the current health minister said is anything to go by, it's as if the idea was good, but then start to cost us huge sums of money and not living up to its core purpose.
Well, I don't have the full extent of what he's saying, but who will say that delivering good drugs to where it matters is a bad idea? If there were some people who always try to interfere with the arrangements, and sometimes they think it's only politicians. Some technocrats are equally terrible, and they even mess up politicians. So if your oversight is not very strong, they begin to blame you for whatever it is. So a lot of things have happened that he had a space to really do.
The other aspirants, the other aspirants racing for the same, say that, why try him again?
Well, it's eminently sensible that he's given another chance. The history of our electoral system and victories are clear. If you pay regard to what happened to President Kufuor, first of all, it was advertised and he had 39%. The party, in its wisdom, said, well, are you not going to start from ground zero and bring another person? He went again. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo 3 times. Even the worst case scenario now, if you go into, the space of our adversaries, the NDC, look at what happened to the current president. 1 million votes.
You say that if the delegates vote for him and choose him January 31, and then he goes on to become Ghana's president, it will be the first time we'd have an economist.
That is so.
That is so. What else makes him very different?
It makes it so different that he's in charge.
What else makes him different from the other 4?
I do not believe that when you look at the other 4, any of them has the exposure he's had. And I want to say it again. They are not going to be tested. You should bear that in mind, that they will be at ground zero as NDC, in the sense that NDC is going to have an internal combustion, which is very serious, because now President Mahama is no longer there. They will need to fight hard. Somebody will come out. Now that person will have to be advertised. He's been advertised already. And guess what? At his debut, he had 41.7%. So trying to add 9% or 10% so that he crosses the 50+1, which is easier. Do you want to go and bring somebody who is not known? Every filthy thing has been said about this man, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, and guess what? He's never been tainted with corruption. His character is not dented. So this is the best individual in terms of comparative advantage that the MPP needs.
When or if he is voted for and he becomes the NPP's flag bearer, what challenge do you envisage he would encounter in becoming the president? What challenge?
Well, I believe that the first assignment is to bring the party together again. The issue of primaries is always a bitter contest.
Is it?
Yeah, because of monetary considerations and, insults that people trade and the rest of it. So, and he has a personality and a decent person. He has not been trading insults. Have you monitored him? People take the microphone and instead of churning out ideas for the future of this country, they are just trading insults. He has shown decency, a well-cultured man. So I'm sure the kind of personality asset he has is going to begin to work, the party together and heal the pain. And then I'm sure Ghanaians from this year, they're going to see the alternative government. I wouldn't be surprised that he roll out a budget as the opposition budget. And he has the competence to do so. And Ghanaians are going to say, now how do you say that looking at Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, he pitting strength against Mr. Sidu Nketia, who is coming for the first time, who should be given the chance to rule Ghana, the wealth of experience he has, and the rest of it. So
back to the party. What kind of pain will he be healing? What's going on in the party? Who's hurt? Who's
well, I've told you about competitions. And when people are competing, sometimes
likely to come out scathed, eh?
Obviously, and
Okay.
hurt. Monetary losses, blindness for the first time. I mean, you see your own blindness. Oh, but why did I do this to myself? Why didn't I leave this, fight? You know, but the fever of campaign will blind the man. He believes he's also bound to be president of Ghana. And guess what? Even by arithmetic, only one person will become the flag bearer and the president. So all the pain associated with contest, you need to handle and deal with. Because you need unity as a very strong driving force to unseat NDC government.
In Ghana, a few things are true. Religion, culture, literacy level, all these from the decision-making of the electorate. Would religion be a problem?
In fact, there is a wealth of evidence, that what happened last time was not a religious decision. I could tell you that the research abounds. If you pay regard to the Akyea report at the instance of the party, religion was not a factor why MPP lost. The Conrad Adenho report, the Musa Dankwa, Global Info Analytics also said the same thing. In fact, there was a whole group of university lecturers who put together data and research, and it came out clearly that religion was not the reason why, he didn't become the president of Ghana. And guess what? I have data to the effect that MPP fielded 236 Christian parliamentary candidates. Madam, that is a huge number out of 276. So if religion was the factor, why didn't we sweep, the parliamentary votes and have majority in parliament? So it is the convenience of individuals that we can never have a Muslim as a president of Ghana. And that is something which is not consistent with the Constitution. As a matter of fact, the Constitution actually believes that we should have a country where there's unity. We should promote it. If you give me a second, I could give you the constitutional provision that it is very necessary that we do not go tribal at all. We should be a Ghana where merit is respected, competence is respected, and a man should lead Ghana by the strength of his integrity of character.
You say merit?
Yes. So let me quote Article 35:5. The state shall actively promote the integration of the people of Ghana, integration of the nation, and not the division of the nation by way of tribal lines or religion, and prohibit discrimination and prejudice on grounds of place of origin, circumstances of birth, ethnic origin, gender, religion, creed, or other beliefs. This is the Bible we've subscribed to. So why should somebody begin to project, religion as a factor in national governance, or, if you like, tribe? So a lot of people profit from this. We can't have a Muslim leading Ghana. What is the basis of that? And has Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia posited that if he becomes the president of Ghana, all the good churches like Reverend Ochabo's church, Archbishop Duncan Williams' church is going to break it down and erect mosques for everybody to become a Muslim? Did you not even see him that on the crossover? He was in Reverend Tabo's church just to endorse the fact that I respect what the Christians are doing and they should have freedom of religion. So all those who are touting these things and is their propaganda weapon that he can't be president, excuse me to say that they are wayward and we should stop this divisive politics. It wouldn't help Ghana.
Yesterday, I sat down with a former Deputy Finance Minister, Kweku Kwarteng, who believes that Ghana needs a brutal leader. Ghana needs a person whose character takes the form and shape of Kennedy Ejapon. What do you say to that?
He wants to say that Ghana needs somebody who can control his temper. Pathetic.
Would tough love, would somebody who likes to use tough love amount to somebody who has temper?
You see, let me tell you that when a man is decisive and is a man of courage, he's not toxic. Anger is not equal to boldness. You should know the difference. When a man is very angry, you understand, it doesn't mean he's bold. And I could tell you that the kind of temperament you need to put the nation together is not what Kennedy or Hine Ejapon has.
He cites many precedents in previous regimes that they have been quite gentle, they are not brutal. Maybe he didn't use the word brutal, but that's the idea, that's the impression that I got when I had the conversation. But he meant that we've tried his nature and type over the seasons and over the regimes, and then Ghana is still where it is. So it's about time we give it a bit of kick. That's what he believes.
Was President Kufuor caustic in his language? Did President Kufuor suffer verbal diarrhea? Was Kufuor insulting? But look at his governance. People believe that if you love the theatrics, I'll show you where power lies. There'll be a showdown. That is evidence that you're a very tough man to lead a nation. Even, let me tell you, President Rawlings, you know, we don't go sit down and meet them cheaters every day. He repented from dead works and he came under the governance of the rule of law via the Constitution. So, excuse me to say, people are confused. The kind of temperament that he's trying to project, Ghana does not need the temperament. Look at President Mahama. President Mahama is done 1 year and he has a lot of enemies. Has he taken clubs, chasing them? Have you heard him trying to insult somebody? That he has a lot of people that he has to insult.
When I asked him partly this question, he said that he acknowledges that every character has its excesses. But the other part of the character which he admires is what he thinks we need.
Is Ghana going to spend good time to manage the temperament of a president? We spend good time, even bring experts to come and help him overhaul his character. A full-blown man, a man who is 60 already. You've heard people say you can't straighten up a hunchback. There's a lot of truth in that, in the sense that at the end of the day, when a man is already formed, it's difficult to overhaul him. And let me tell you one of the things that people don't see. When you assume the office, whatever is in you will be magnified. So we don't have to gamble. What we are seeing, and even the fact that the NDC believes that, oh, he's the one that should win the primaries, should warn Ghanaians that, oh, why is NDC interested that Kennedy should be the next president? Because he's the easy one to beat. They just go and bring the mountain of videos about what he said against everybody and how everybody, I mean, is stupid and he is the wisest person and he has a lot of business sense and he's touting his properties. He doesn't want to pinpoint where his factories are because the revenue authorities might pursue him and exact tax from him and the rest of it. So the NDC will be happy with the weakest man in the contest. And that should be a warning to the delegates. That if you brought Kennedy, oh, you've given the NDC an automatic second term. Meanwhile, they are supposed to end their term this time around because they'll bring a new person who is new, measured against Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, I mean, it's like day and night. And then that is the opportunity for MPP to come back.
Ghana's election population is quite dominated by the young people. How is he appealing to the young people? I must tell you, during the last campaign, I think he's a terrible dancer.
Well,
that's just by the way.
These are your words, no?
That's by the way.
They appeal to the young people. What is the appeal? You should find out what is the appeal about.
You work with data. Have you looked into that?
If you insult much, if you get angry a lot, is it a good example for the young people?
No comparison at all. Him as a person. I've gone past the other candidates.
Yes.
I'm now him. Ghana's population, very tech savvy. They're on social media. Younger people, if you look at the age group, I'm asking that because they may have not lived in certain era to make informed decisions. How then is the message getting to them? How will the message get to them after he wins during campaign?
You mean Dr. Bawumia wins? Of course. It started already. It's already. Look at this whole digital world, which the young people subscribe to. He midwifed it. I'm telling you, for Ghana, and right now you can use your phone to transfer money, and it doesn't matter whether it's across the various operators. He's shown that he's a man of the moment. Globalization is getting to do with the technology of the digital age, and he's shown it. And I'm telling you that he will appeal to them. The economic rollout that he'll bring will minister to a majority of the young people. They will see that this is an economic guru who's going to wipe out poverty so they get jobs. Look at now the operators of Momo. It's just one idea, and a lot of people have been hired. I'm told that the figures are huge, the people who now operate Momo, just because of one idea. So when you build one factory and want to tout, your credentials that you can run a country, that's pathetic.
As a Muslim, is he taking any of the prophecies that have come seriously at all?
Well, you yourself, you know the chaos that they are attributing to God. I'm embarrassed that some people believe in some of these prophecies, because is it God who is saying that Kennedy will win? And is it God who is saying that Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia will win? And God is not an author of confusion. So, madam, I wouldn't want to place too much emphasis on these prophecies and how it's weighing him down or giving him sleepless night. But I could tell you that on the ground, the majority of Ghanaians believe that when he is at 41.7%, adding a couple of percentages for us to get to the next president, an economist of consequence, a man with a clean record, a man that the NDC and the entire country has not tainted him with corruption, he has a comparative advantage over the rest of them. And I know the delegates are going to vote him in. And I know by consequence also he become the next president of Ghana. There's no dispute about it.
Lawyer Atta Akyea, thank you so much for spending your holiday morning with us here. The time comes quickly.
Oh, too quick, you know. I thought I was going to delve into my man, but I know that God is going to give him the victory.
You mean Dr. Bawumia?
Oh, Dr. Bawumia.
We have extensively dealt.
Oh, I didn't feel it at all.
But if you have something to talk, I'll give you a minute to as well.
Okay.
Talk about.
In 1 minute, I'll tell the delegates that they shouldn't play lottery with the future of this country. There is a track record that what they did for President Kufuor, they gave him a second chance. As for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he has even 3 occasions that he faced it. They should give him the same advantages. It will give the unity that the party needs. We should never come across as individuals who use a minority tribe as a game. Okay, as for us, we will just use Northerners and throw them away. We should see that a man of competence should be given the space to come and lead this country. And I think they will do that.
Thank you so much.
I'm grateful for the moment.
The name Atta, does it mean you're a twin?
I am indeed. I have a female We don't look alike, but we are around.
So she's Kakra?
She's Kakra.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you so much.
My joy.
Captain Henry Godson Affle, Head Pastor, Rehoboth Network of Churches. And this morning, let's find some clarity. It's all confusing. 1 minute, you're so much of a Christian, and you're like, should I believe this prophecy? Another minute, you say, well, I'm guided by laws in this country. I don't believe it. But first of all, you have seen a lot of prophecies, and it gets even more dominated so much during December 31st, and then it prepares people for the new year. What's your view generally about prophecies?
Thanks so much, my very good lady. Great job, as always. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Prophecies, I would say, is in the will of God. It's in the plan of God. God intended for prophecies to be given, and it's meant to be for the edification of the body of Christ and for the edification of people. We've seen in the past how God has used prophets in the past and prophecies even to build nations. You talk about as early as in the days of Moses, albeit Moses not explicitly referred to as a prophet, but this was a man of great clout in terms of God's prophetic agenda. It is said concerning Moses that God did speak to Moses mouth to mouth. So this was a major prophet. And it was the one that went up and took the 10 commandments and came down to the people to deliver that. You go through, Joseph was seen as a prophet, a deliverer, and then all through Scripture before you come to the days of Elijah, Elisha, Jeremiah, and so the minor prophets like Amos, Micah, and all of them, you've seen that prophets have played a major role in the lives of individuals as well as in the lives of national development. So it's a very good thing. But my sister, like any good thing, it's always subject to a lot of interpretation, a lot of abuse, a lot of misuse. And that is where I think the gray areas we need to have a look at and sort of fine-tune it. And I keep saying this, that if the church, and I'm not limiting this only to a subset of the prophet or the prophetic ministry, but I'm linking this effectively to the church and what the church does, that if the church does not rise up to clean itself, one day we will be forced by a government to put us through some form of safeguarding regulation, which we want to avoid.
That's interesting.
It's very powerful.
What kind of cleanup will this look? How will the cleanup look like?
We've seen it. In Rwanda now it's happening, isn't it? Kenya has done it in the past. Because where in some jurisdictions you've got somebody who wakes up in the morning and says, the Lord told me everyone come and eat some kind of soup, put something in it, drink deadly poisons, it will not kill you. And then they all go drink and die. There is a certain level of introspection that needs to be had. But it's also incumbent on government to safeguard her people. And that's where it comes in. I mean, unfortunately, quite recently we've seen this young man, Ebono, isn't it?
Yes.
Come up. I mean, people say he's a content creator and all of that. But again, we've seen, I'm not sure whether it's true, somebody did travel all the way from Liberia to join them. But it's been given some level of credence because we're living in a jurisdiction where the prophetic is very, very ripe. And people sort of hold on and cling on to anywhere that comes from some prophet. And that's where some like that will.
Isn't it now difficult because it is the same constitution that gives legitimacy to religion in Ghana? And so you see that, of course, Ghana is a very religious country, but when the constitution now gives us that legitimacy, where do we draw the line between that belief and public responsibility? Where?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very important point you make there. As you've said, Ghana is a very religious country. The last time I checked, per the 2021 stats, in the excess over 33 million, the Ghanaian population, we've got about 94% who are religious. And even the 6%, it's others. So it might be Hindus and all of that. So if you put all some of them in, it's just about 3% that identify as non-religious. So a whopping 97% out of an excess population of 33 million. That is huge. Out of that, in excess of 71% identify as Christians. 71%. So that's quite huge. 20% identify as Muslims. Again, so put that together, the population of Christians and Muslims together, a little over 90% of that population. But the Constitution certainly makes provisions, all right, for that huge or gargantuan figure who identifies religious. So if you look at the Constitution, for example, Article 21, Section 1C says very clearly that all persons shall have the right to freedom to practice any religion, right? Which is very important. The same Constitution also in Article 26, Section 1 says very clearly that every person is entitled to enjoy, practice, profess, promote any culture, tradition, or religion subject to the provisions of the Constitution. All right? And you'll love to hear this one. So again, Article 26, Section 2 talks about customs that dehumanize or are injurious to the physical or mental well-being of people will be prohibited. So they say one man's cake is another man's poison, isn't it?
Yes.
My practice must not infringe negatively on someone's well-being. And sometimes do we do that? Sometimes do some of my friends do that? I think yes, and we need to look at that.
Some of the prophecies that we see publicly can amount to, I'm sorry about that, can amount to this, because then if, maybe my question should be, should all prophecies be treated as private matter?
So, yeah, yes and no. I mean, there are certain prophecies that are very private, and I get it. Okay, so when someone has a prophetic word regards to someone's marriage, someone's personal health, and sometimes we do it in church, where maybe we might use a microphone to say something, and eventually it's rather had the opposite effect. Instead of trying to build a family, unfortunately, the way and manner it was delivered has actually gone on to destroy marriages, to degenerate into all kinds of issues that we did not intend it to be. So should prophecies be made a private matter? Some prophecies which are private must be made private. But again, we've seen instances in the Bible. If you take Jonah chapter 1, for example, where Jonah comes out, gives a prophetic word that God had given him, and it was a national prophecy that needed to be given to the people of Nineveh. So that is public, all right? But again, it has to be done with tact. It has to be done with a lot of wisdom. So look at Nathan, for example. In the book of 2 Samuel, chapter number 12, Nathan goes to King David. It was very private. The man had sinned, had gone into Beersheba, had slept with someone's wife, and killed Uriah, the husband. The prophet received the word. He did not go on social media. He did not go on Facebook to say, I've got a word. And he got the right word. But he went to the king privately and delivered that message. And that message had a strong effect. We've seen that again with the life of Hezekiah. Hezekiah was a king. God said he was about to die. But what happened? There was a prophetic word that had been given, but the king had to receive this prophetic word privately. So we see how God used his prophet Isaiah in the book of 2 Kings, chapter number 20, from the verse number 1 downwards. He goes to the king and says, God said you would die. He told him privately. God changed his mind, but eventually the situation was averted. So yes, prophecies, some may be private, but if it has to be to a people or to like people in the public or in the church, it has to be done with some level of decorum.
This level of decorum, especially if this prophecy can amount to public safety, say a natural disaster, some death, something, who should they speak to? The prophecies say about Ghana.
Yeah.
Who should they speak to?
That's a very important area I was going to come to. I think hitherto, this present government coming in, and there's something that the president has done, isn't it, with the ecumenical office,
yes,
led by Honorable Elvis Ifria Ankara. Personally, hands on heart, I think it's a good thing. I know people have said various things about it. It's got its own interpretations. The reason why I say this is that Whereas maybe before, you don't have an avenue to channel a prophetic word that you felt had to be given. Now you've got access. And that office, aside all the other good things that they're doing, gives access. And that is what beggars believe, that if you've been given access, why would you still go on and give certain prophecies that hinges on national security, especially if it has implications? I was baffled, to say the least, when I saw Eset. Usually I don't spend time to watch all these 31st night prophecies. And I don't say this in any derogatory way, but I watched some of them and I was baffled, especially when it borders on national security. Because, and I think it calls for a bit of education, but again, we have to get into a space where the framework within the Constitution is properly and effectively used, all right, to crack the whip where it's needed and to put checks and balances in the system.
This will mean the provision in 26, the part that says that if your religion dehumanizes,
exactly,
it gave other variables as well. But then we must then now carry the symptom of this religion, put it into these factors and see if they amount to that first,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And who will do this?
That's where leadership comes in. And I think we need to have a certain strong collaboration between government and the church leadership. But unfortunately, in our space where, I mean, anybody can get up and be called a bishop. And I say to people sometimes jokingly, when I was growing up, all right, you become born again, you grow up in a church, and you're properly tutored, you have people you looked up to. You go through a system. But these days, unfortunately, people become bishops, they attempt to become bishops, or they become bishops even before they think of becoming born again. and that's the problem that we're having, isn't it? Because that escalation, it's just, they hear a voice today, the next minute, they are archbishops. And we need to have some form of regulation where we can trace people to their roots. Where are you coming from? What body do you belong to? And once these things are in place, education becomes very easy. Because you hear things that are being spoken about today, and for me, it's an infringement on some of the constitutional provision. And again, look at Article 12, Section 2. It says, rights and freedoms must be exercised subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others in the interest of public order, public morality, and national security. I'm not sure how many of my brethren probably have chance on these constitutional provisions, all right? And as much as God has given us the freedom to practice our religion, but it also has to be done in a very decorous way, in the right way. Else, we're rather bringing the name of the Lord in disrepute.
Rev, do you think that prophecies can be verified? Should they be verified, or they should be contextualized?
Yes, prophecy can be verified. I mean, I'll give you an instance in Scripture where it's very, very clear that prophecy can be verified in that way. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 3. All right? What Paul was admonishing the church to do is that when you have a prophecy, he says, bring the brethren together, let them test it. And he goes on to say that the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. In other words, whatever word God gives you can be subject to control in terms of how you deliver that. And trust me, if some of the prophecies that people do receive, if they do this introspection, cross-checking with others, they might not even come out to say some of those prophecies that you're saying. All right? And I'm mindful about that. And I don't even want to go into some of the nitty-gritties of that. But certainly, no one wants to see a coup d'etat in Ghana. No one wants to see that. There are prophecies that are quite huge and quite serious. You look at the prophet, there's a prophet, I think, in Kenya somewhere who gave a prophecy to the president of Venezuela, Maduro, went to pray for him, and he says, no one will touch you. Gave him a lot of money, flew him down to his home country. Maduro was nabbed, and he's also been nabbed to the U.S. to go and face full justice. And I think a time is coming, people begin to sit up. And when you speak and it's from God, it must be tested. It must be put through a certain level of litmus testing, and for us to prove that of a truth, what you're saying is right. And I'm telling you this, judgment will begin in the house of the Lord. And I'm telling you this, by the 31st of January this year, a lot of prophets in this nation will be disgraced, and some of them will be exposed. And this year is going to be a year where the prophetic will be subjected to a lot of scrutiny, but certainly it's time for us to know who are the real.
Is that a prophecy too?
There's a prophecy. You can take this as a prophecy.
Well, if we test or verify the prophecy, or if we allow it that, okay, we believe it, and it turned out to be false. If it turned out to be false, and the prophet justifies and said that, well, God said I should do this, and I told you, if it didn't happen, it's not me. Should we still subject the career of this prophecy to some form of punishment?
That's what we say. Again, it depends on the magnitude. So let me give an example again. 2 Kings chapter 20. Isaiah was a major prophet. I mean, this was a man that was able to prophesy the birth, the suffering, the death, and resurrection of Christ 400 years before it happened. A major prophet. And he goes in to see King Hezekiah in 2 Kings chapter number 20. And he says to him, God said, I should tell you, you will surely die. And what he said was true. And we also know in Numbers, very clearly, Numbers says it, Numbers 23:19, it says that God is not a man that he should repent. That word to repent means to change your mind. But even before he left the inner court, the king did not go begging the prophets to pray for him. And that's where empowerment comes in. That we must empower our people, we must empower the church, our church members, not to be overly dependent on prophets. The man turned his face to the wall. Check the scripture and you see it.
Okay.
And he prayed to God himself. And the Bible says, even before the prophet walked out of the outer court, the word of the Lord came to the king himself. I came to the prophet again. It says, go and tell my son, the king, that I, the Lord, to paraphrase, I've changed my mind. And instead of him dying, he will not die, he'll recover. And I will add 15 more years to his life. So imagine, he gave a word that he would die. If he had gone public and says, I've seen that the king is about to die. And these days it's easy, isn't it? Because sometimes, yes, the media does fuel these and escalate it very quickly. But now people don't need even the media as much. They can just go social media. I mean, the mainstream media. They can go social media, put something on there. And if it's bombastic enough, it grabs the headlines. But because he went and privately disclosed that, he didn't have to go and explain himself to anyone. When God gave him another word, he went and he corrected the first word that had come in. And that is where we need to be very, very careful and very decorous in our approach. And it comes also to what motive? Why are we quick to come out and to claim credit that he's a prophet that prophesied that person was going to die and the person died? What is happening?
Does it shape the perspective of people? For example, if it's nearly elections, which is happening January 31, I've seen prophets have started, prophesying this person will win, the other person would win. Do prophecies really shape the mindsets of people? Does it influence voting?
They do. And I think that is where, at some point, we need to ask ourselves, what is the motive? What is the motive? And I sit here as a student of prophecy. I sit here as someone, I'm sure people are watching me who know me very well, right from my days in the University of Cape Coast. Yeah, I prophesy. I pray for people. I've said things that have come to pass. You go to YouTube now, just Google my name, Henry Godsenafo. You see prophecies coming out. And I'm talking about monumental prophecies, probably. I'm sure you have some of the clips at some point. But my motive, even at the time of doing that, I remember doing a program with Paula Domotry, and he asked me a question, and out of the blue, it just came out. It wasn't planned.
Okay.
Right? And it came to pass. The details are somewhere we can all verify. But what I'm saying is that if you look at the motive for which people do that, if that motive is for you to come and say a candidate is going to win, and that becomes almost a political campaign for that person, that is wrong. That is where I feel that we are almost at a point where we are beginning to monetize, and we're beginning to get into a bit of, become a bit of charlatans, where we try to use the gift to gain traction for certain people, all right? And at the moment, when you're looking at what is happening now, look at, maybe some people are saying this one is going to win, some people are saying that one is going to win. I wouldn't mind, even if sometimes you know the person and you've got access and you do it privately.
Okay.
I think sometimes it's a lot more effective. But where it becomes a bit worrisome is where you're doing that with the incentive or the motive to campaign for someone. That is not what prophets are called to do.
Because we can't measure intent and the incentive, would it be very difficult to request this of them? We can't measure it. So.
And that's why I said to you that this year is going to be a year where judgment will begin in the house of God. It's going to be a year where people will be put on the weighing scales. And I think if someone comes out boldly and says, the Lord said, if the person says, oh, I feel within me, and does not even add the name of the Lord, but once you add the Lord said, once you add certain a terrestrial element and articles, the angel of the Lord said, that said, we have to put you through the litmus test of your words. And if it doesn't come to pass, you have to be publicly subjected to the public court of opinion, even if the law doesn't take
this
it. This
litmus test, should it be by the Bible standard or by the regulations, the laws of the country?
By both.
By both.
By both, yes. I mean, for us, and I said, statistics are very clear. If you take 71% Christians, we're watching. And the thing is, people are so gullible. Some people are so gullible, unfortunately, are falling for everything. But at some point, we need to draw the line. And we need to come to a point where we say, if you give a word, it doesn't come to pass. I mean, why? I'm so not sure. I mean, you might be able to tell me as to why Ebonoa, for example, has been arrested. I mean, right from day one, I knew that this was just maybe some content creation.
Thank God for your anointing. But many people don't carry the same anointing.
Can you imagine how people fall for this? I mean, my hometown is Elmina. My mother is from Elmina, my father is from Cape Coast. So I was told that there's a big canoe there. Maybe the guy got the idea and then wanted to do something. But should we put people who also give failed prophecies in the same breath as Ebonoa? Maybe we must start doing that.
Maybe.
I mean, for me, the damperization of the prophetic ministry, when I'm talking about dampering, was a way where we needed dialogue. The prophet needs to have dialogue and a bit of education. And I think he did that. But I'm not sure maybe the implementation was done in a way where people understood it, especially when the previous government had in itself become a beneficiary of the prophecy of some of these key prophets, okay? So if you're going to change it, I like the way the current president is done it. It says, look, I've opened an office. There is...
Submit it.
Exactly. Submit it to them. Let's have dialogue. And on the 7th, there was Thanksgiving. There were people there. There is an avenue. There is access. Use it. And if you're not going to use that access and you come up with bombastic statements that centers on national development, then we need to look at Article 12, Section 2, and submit people to that litmus test and make sure that the law takes its course.
I owe my friends watching a video, but unfortunately I'm unable to play that video for technical reasons. But I promise that I'll bring you that video. But Rev, I'll just give you a few seconds to wrap up the conversation in final words. Oh,
thank you very much. I mean, my call to the nation of Ghana is that it's our prayer that this year, by the kind grace of God, will be a great year. I think the trajectory and the data is looking good. We need a sense of national unity to be able to push things forward. And I pray for everyone involved in the nation building that we come together and then also seek education, especially for my friends and loved ones in the church. Looking at the statistics, it's huge. 71% of Christians, and I believe, and I say this to you, our Christianity should be directly proportional to our national development.
Thank you
and
so much.
that has to be the case.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you in studio. Reverend Dr. Captain Henry Godson Apple, Head Pastor, Rehoboth Network of Churches. He's also authored a few books that I've been telling you about. Grab one and read for yourself. We'll continue this conversation, of course. He also has made some prophecies, and so we'll look into all of that. But please stay. Let's talk about cervical cancer. Thank you for staying with us. We're wrapping the show, but by now you know that January is a month where we talk about cervical cancer. And this morning we're joined by our friends from MWAG, and I'll tell you what MWAG is, the Medical Women Association of Ghana. And Dr. Kalsum Z. Adam is MWAG General Secretary. She's specialist, and hear this one, maxillofacial surgeon. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Well.
And as well, I've got Dr. Nana Konedu Dako. She is also MWAG member. She is specialist and family physician. Doctors, thank you so much for joining us. We shouldn't be doing this early in January. Cervical cancer is such an important conversation. But I'll start with you, Dr. Kalsum. What is cervical cancer and why the need to want to champion cervical cancer prevention?
Okay. All right. So cervical cancer comes from two words. So you have the cervical and then the cancer. So the cervix is what we are talking about. Okay. So the cervix is actually the mouth to the womb. Okay. So it's a very tiny area. When you look at the female reproductive organ or the system, you would actually see that the cervix is in between the uterus, which is the womb, and then the vagina. Okay. And usually this cervix is hidden. It's hidden down there. You need to actually be able to open up the vaginal walls to be able to visualize the cervix. So it's hidden.
Yeah.
And it's a very small area. It's what it does usually is that it shuts down, okay, during pregnancy so that the baby doesn't fall out, okay? And then also it is that area that will expand or get dilated during labor to allow the baby to come out, okay? So this area is such a very small area, but very important. And we say cancer when you have the cells within this area dividing uncontrollably, okay, such that they form a tumor, and then eventually they can move to other parts of the body, and then you may end up with what we call a metastasizing disease. So when you have cells within the cervix, which I have mentioned and then given the functions of it, if you have cancer happening within this small area, then we say it's cervical cancer. And most of the time, it happens from you having an infection from HPV. We say that greater than 95% of it is from an infection from HPV, and HPV stands for human papillomavirus, and it's sexually transmitted. You get it? Yes.
Only sexually transmitted?
It is sexually transmitted.
Okay.
So then it is important, and you see cervical cancer is a very preventable cancer. We know that greater than 95% of it is actually caused from having HPV infection from the high-risk strain types, that's 16 and 18. So you actually know what the causative agent is. And through having screening schedules, regular screenings, you should be able to catch the infection early and then do something about it so that it doesn't continue to cause changes within the cells, dysplastic changes that will eventually become full-blown cancer.
Okay.
You get it? So you have that time to be able to catch it very early.
Dr. Narkodu, let me come to you. So she says that it's easily preventable, but is it curable?
If found early, if detected early enough, yes, it is curable. But the problem is how early do we find it? In Ghana, you have 3,000 new cases every year, about.
3,000 new cases. Are they at the end stage of it or just the
at different stages? Quite often, a lot of times, the condition starts with no symptoms. So once you start showing symptoms, it means that you have gotten to the next few, towards the latter stages of the condition.
Okay.
And I say curable because when you go for the screening, some of the screening types, there are lesions that will be seen on the cervix and they can do something about it immediately. Okay. But in terms of cure, the best chance at cure is to vaccinate, to prevent. You don't want to get to the point where you have to do something about it. You want to prevent it from starting in the first place.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Please land on it.
And that is what is most important. Yes, at any point in the trajectory of the disease, we can do something to help you, but as it gets more advanced, your chances of cure get lower and lower. And there may be a point where it's far advanced and we may not be able to cure, but just manage it and do palliation until...
This is very difficult because I'm just learning that you can't, in its very formative stage, you can hardly see it.
Yes.
So how can I help myself then?
Okay, so when you have the cells, so you have normal cells within the cervix. Now, when you have an infection from the HPV, usually you're able to clear, so you have the HPV, you have several strains of these HPV. And for some of them, you can easily clear. The body has the immunity to clear the infection. But then the high-risk ones, like HPV 16 or HPV 18, when you have these infections, you notice that they tend to cause some abnormality. We call them dysplastic changes within the cell. So what it is that the cell has something we call the DNA, and the DNA is what helps the cell to grow, to divide, and then, but that is regulated. So it is regulated in such a way that now the cells would divide and then it will grow, and then after a period, the cells die off and new ones replace it. But then when you have the HPV infection with the high risk, what happens is that it actually causes changes within the DNA such that now these cells would start to become abnormal. Abnormal in the sense that they start to divide uncontrollably, and then you may end up having the dysplastic changes, and these dysplastic changes, which you can easily pick up during the screenings that we want to emphasize today. If you don't pick them up, then it will continue to cause the distraction, cause the cancer to form, and then it can move to other areas. I say this because the screening schedule, sometimes when you do get this infection, it takes about as long as 10 years, as long as 15 years before you get these changes that will become cancer. So at any point in time, if you do your regular screenings, depending on your age, if, for instance, you do the pap smear, which is recommended that at least 3 years after your first sexual intercourse, you can start the pap smear. So if you do it every 3 years, at any point in time, you should be able to catch these dysplastic changes. You should be able to tell that, okay, there is something happening there, and then you can nip it in the bud.
Okay.
As opposed to leaving and not taking care of it or not committing to a particular screening schedule till when you have the cancer and you have symptoms.
Okay. I mean, which means that this conversation is a lot more broader because you've got to go to the screening, go to how to prevent yourself and all of that. But for an association, are you doing something for us? I see screening on your shirt.
Yes.
What are you planning for us?
So for Medical Women's Association of Ghana, we have some screenings planned. We are doing our advocacy by coming to various radio and TV programs to help to educate and advocate for women with cervical cancer. We want to encourage everybody to, there's something in each age group that can be done. Recently, the Ghana Health Service started a free vaccination drive. I think that was in October. And I think it's very important. We've been advocating for it for a very long time, and finally it has started. And we want to encourage everyone with young girls between the ages of 9 and 14 to get their girls vaccinated, because as she said, it's a sexually transmitted thing. So we vaccinate before they start having sex so that they are protected from the condition. As she talked about, when you get the high-risk strains, then it can progress to cancer many, many years later. people within the adult range, you want to screen. You want to screen either with a VIA, pap smear, or HPV DNA. And yes, we say that after 35, vaccination may or may not be useful, but screening should continue up until. And there's no your first screening, if you are even above 60, 70, and you've never screened before, we do encourage.
Do you have a page that people can visit for more information?
Yes, yes, we do. So MWAG, you can go to MWAG_Ghana on our Instagram page, and then on our Facebook page as well. It's Medical Women Association of Ghana.
All right.
And I would like to say a very big thank you to you for having us, and also Lexter Ghana, producers of YAS, who are our main partners in this advocacy as Medical Women Association. We are able to do these talks because of you, and we are very grateful.
Thank you so much, doctors. My time is up, but I
you.
promise to pick up on this conversation. That'll be all for the AM show. Please